Welcome to Flat Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere. There's also a PayPal, Patreon, and crypto link in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreon, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So a massive shout out of thanks and appreciation to Guns of Navarone, Troy Shuka, Bose Nail, Justin Duso, Joseph Pizarro, Samson, Maris, Harry Blade, Mobile Max 777, Neo the One, Lost Cat FE, Rob W, Open Minded, Reese Pound, Dal West Watson, Mike, Muted, Dick Earth Skeptic, Chris Hillman, an A-Literalist, Maria Neelands, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Rob H, Nathan Thompson, The Real Gabster, Windrider, Liam Nedrick, Erwin Jennisons, Abraham Mohammed, Dave Rakia Gafford, Naibai, Adrian Quintana, Skeptic936, Life is Short, Fireball X, Felix Hung, Texas Mike, Edwin Johnson, Kirsten Smith, Alexander Main, David Wayne Foster, and Dank. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Also, as this is Monday and I've just had a whole weekend of shows that are premiering for the first time with me plugging the GoFundMe campaign that's currently going out. So that's not quite reached its target as yet, but massive thanks and appreciation to all of you who have actually supported my GoFundMe campaign. So I'll do a quick shout out to all of you who've done exactly that. Massive shout out to Kevin Polanski, Jeff Cena, and Jesse Barbe. Hope I'm saying your names correctly. There was also an anonymous contributor who did get in touch with me and let me know who they were, although I didn't actually clarify if they wanted me to shout them out. Presumably not, as they've left an anonymous donation. Other people who had donated before the weekend. So massive shout out to Hannah, Chris, Rob, Jamal, and Abraham also. If you did want to support my GoFundMe campaign to finish off the treatment or acoustic treatment of this studio that I'm now using to broadcast this debate, then simply go to the GoFundMe campaign. A link will be in the info box below this if this is a premiering stream, and I'll stick a quick link in the live stream chat for when this show actually goes live. Should really do another thank you on the actual live show, so I'll probably be saying this again if you're watching this on a premiering stream. But nevertheless, if you can do nothing else, just go and share it. Just click on the link, either copy it and share it that way into Facebook or Twitter or whatever it is you use. That's always very helpful, because there are people out there that have certainly got in touch off the back of this and either completely agreed with me and said, yeah, I totally get it. It's very, very important that you treat your studio. I get it. I'm trying to do the same, or I've done the same, and I try and explain to others that it's really important and they don't get it. So there's a small handful of people who do really get why I'm doing what I'm doing and are very supportive financially or verbally or otherwise. If you do donate, just my advice would be to set the tips amount to zero. Obviously, it's entirely up to you if you did want to give GoFundMe a tip, but if it were me, I'd probably just set it to zero, but that's obviously entirely up to you. But then obviously pretty much all contributions then go to the campaign itself. So yeah, another massive thank you to Kevin, Jeff, Jesse, and the anonymous contributor who got in touch with me for supporting my GoFundMe campaign. Hopefully I'll breach the limit. I didn't know if to send it £500 or £600. Hopefully I'll reach £600, which means I can order a couple of panels, which I think I'm going to pretty much do anyway. I've asked my wife to make a couple of inquiries in that regard, so I'm pretty much certain that at least something will get done that I can make a video about that you can actually see at the end of this campaign. It'd be nice, obviously, to do more, and the more I raise, the better, because it means I can hopefully get that little bit closer to actually finishing the thing off. So how much I breach £500, which is what I set the amount to, is how close I'll get to actually never doing it ever again, although my anticipated time to actually finish is probably a couple of months from now, depending on how this campaign goes. So thank you very much to all who contributed. Hello.
Hey, Nathan.
Oh, wow, you're loud. Can you back off your mic?
Any better?
Yep, much better.
Yeah, my wife's father passed away last night, so I'm going to be distant for a few minutes.
Bummer. How old was he?
Yeah. 63. Not old.
That's not that old, is it? Oh, that's very unfortunate.
No.
How old's your wife?
My wife is a young one.
Okay, say no more.
55, 45. She's 40.
40?
But I'm 55, so.
How did you get... I'm not even going to ask. You bastard Italians with your young-looking skin.
Let me see. She was, I think, a month away from turning 18. I said, that's close enough. I started dating and then met in church, so.
Fair enough.
Good morning.
Good morning. Neil's
Thanks
father.
for the prayers last night, Ten.
You got it, buddy.
Oh, you already know. Okay.
Yeah, I called on the heavyweights to pray. I sent messages to 10th Man, to my other heavyweight brothers in the Lord.
Did he die peacefully?
I don't know. I still don't know what happened. I think they were supposed to come by us for Thanksgiving. But you know what the problem is? It's just, what's going on. The COVID thing. He hasn't gone to the doctor. And he had to get the stents put in about 6 years ago. But he's petrified to go to the doctor. He hasn't seen a doctor since the pandemic started. So, he was going every 3 months.
Right.
So this is what's happening. A lot of people are not going. He's petrified of it. They don't want to, come by us. I think we seen him in July for his birthday. When they came with masks on and, so this thing is doing a lot more damage than the baloney COVID itself. But anyway, I'll leave it there.
I'm very sorry for your loss. My condolences to your family.
Thank you, but the show must go on.
Yeah, life goes on in general, but it's always bad when you lose a loved one.
Yeah, my wife she was hysterical last night. I didn't know what the heck to do.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Hysterical.
Just raw emotions, brother. It's got to come out. It's a part of the process.
Well, I'll read between the lines, Neil, that the show must go on means you'd quite like something to take your mind off it. So hopefully debating with fundies will do exactly that today.
Correct.
Yeah, I get it. I can read between the lines.
Speaking of which, was it Friday show, the intra and the intra rumpus episode?
Right.
Or what?
Arwin said it was the best show of the year in the chat.
Oh, really?
Well, he watched it twice, so obviously I'm there. Even if I'm not necessarily chatting, I've always got it on in the background in some form or another. And Arwin was there on the second rebroadcast of the live show, and second broadcast, if you like, of the Uncut and After show. So when it goes out on the second channel, it's more for archive. But obviously, if you're a big fan of the show, it's the only place to get the Uncut and After show if you're not a member during the week. So Arwin's not a member, not that I expect him to be, but he's part of the show, so why would he need to watch it? But he watched it on both occasions. Now, obviously, for me, the host and the owner of the channel, then that's not unusual, right? But for Arwin, if he watched it once, I'd be surprised because he's part of the show. So the fact that he watched it twice and then commented at the end is like, that was the best show of the year, that was.
That was the 3-hour one, right?
I don't know if it was 3 hours or not, I can't remember. But it was basically, during the live show, Rumpus came in and discussed inter versus intramolecular bonding and tried to use false equivalence between the two.
Hey, Nathan,
and then
picked
after the
it up quick.
Again?
He tried to slip these two things, and you picked it right up, boy.
Right.
That was quick. You impressed me there.
Well, equally impressive was the discussion afterwards, although it did piss Bob Nodell off. So he was in the chat when he watched it on the second re-up. Again, Arwin was there giving him a really hard time. I didn't ask, and I don't want to know. He did send me a message, and I have intentionally not read it from Arwin in that regard. because I'm sick of it. There's no other way to describe it. I strongly discouraged him from bashing Bob for about 20 straight minutes, which I couldn't discourage him from doing. And I'm rolling my eyeballs thinking, my God, Bob Nodell, as much as everyone gives him crap, I gave him crap, and he crawled over glass to apologise, right? He made multiple attempts to reconcile, extended in his own vernacular multiple olive branches, with me turning around and literally saying, I'll piss on your olive branch after setting it on fire. That was my attitude to him, and he still persisted. And that gives me goosebumps just talking about it. The level of tenacity, the man, that gained a lot of respect from me. Now, it wasn't just that he was wearing me down; it was the manner in which he approached it and his reasoning behind it. That has gained my respect. Now, I'm not afraid to verbalise that and tell Arwen directly. I tried to tell Anthony, but he's in the middle of a feud with him too. Now, can I relate? Of course. Yeah, I can relate. But by the same token, while this is going on, the wankers that surround this subject just prey upon it and immediately start feeding the fire with he's a shill, he's this, he's that, and it just makes me very frustrated with the people at the heart of it. It's like, okay, do we have to air our laundry in public? No, not at all. Now, any issues in public between me and Bob have always been very much on topic. Anthony Riley has had some of his dirty laundry dragged into public and generally tries to stay on topic, as does Bob for the most part. Yeah, he's thrown a few ad homs my way. Not that was the reason we fell out. But the point is that, generally speaking, we're all on the same page. We're all fighting for the same exact cause. Hashtag same team, as much as it's cheesy, it does actually apply. But as soon as we start fighting amongst ourselves, airing our dirty laundry in public, all that happens is the actual scummy people that surround us on the opposing side just see it and go, oh, wicked. I can play this up so much. And they do.
Yeah, I think Bob is just trying to figure things out, And, Anthony, I would never cross him. You're right about that, boy.
Anthony's a good guy. Bob and I are both wankers. Bob may or may not know it. I certainly know it. But the point is that Anthony's generally a good guy, right? And yeah, you wouldn't want to cross him. That's for damn sure. But by the same token, he's continually stressing that this is on topic. And even though it's boiled down and is now simmering up again, it's simmering up for the right reasons rather than the wrong reasons. Some of the old nonsense is getting, the dirty laundry, as I put it, is actually airing out. In other words, that we're seeing the tail end of that part of it. And what if you want to look into it in a different way, is happening is they're actually starting to communicate again. This is Anthony specifically and Bob Nodell specifically. Now, with two very fiery characters, sometimes it's going to start with the fires meeting, and that's all that's happened. Eventually, that will die out. These flames burn bright and burn fast and burn out. But the point is that underlying all of that tension, fire, dirty laundry, whatever you want to call it, underlying are people who clearly want to communicate with each other. And that's good. Now, I see that as us actually moving in the right direction. Now, the little peak versus the little trough that we had for the last 6 months is going to be the bit that I'm moaning about, the bit that the trolls and the scumbags are going to focus on, and they're going to try and play it up. But I don't think it'll matter. I think, in all seriousness, long term, some bridges are starting to be mended, have been mended in that regard. And we're just people, so as much as we might all be on hashtag same page, it's not the case that everyone's going to get on with everyone, and that's always going to be the case in any field, anywhere, ever. So, the fact that we're all tenacious enough to want to work through that and still see it as important, that as much as, it might be done with gritted teeth, still happening, that can only be commended, in my opinion. So yeah, just try not to focus on the fire and the the passion that comes from either side, depending on who you're favouring in whatever argument it is. Also, obviously, try not to focus on the personal stuff. And on those shows, I think it was the following day, actually, the Friday show went out on Sunday, for those not members. on that show, I played it up initially. I'm like, yeah, it's Bob's fault that Anthony swore at Bob. It's basically his lips moving, words that I'm just hamming it up. Just to kind of diffuse it, make a joke of it to diffuse it. That totally backfired. That didn't work either.
So much for trying to make it intro. You made it inter-conflict instead.
It's just whatever to diffuse the personal bit, because that's not really the most important bit. But in the moment, it seems like the most important thing to anybody who's subject to it. The personal thing is always going to take precedent because everyone's their own most important thing in their world, right?
Well, I was trying to diffuse it there with intra and intra myself, so.
I get it. Yeah, these bonds aren't strong.
Yeah, let's move on. It's people have personal issues. Leave them off the show.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, we're in the pre-show now, so I don't mind discussing these things. But
still public. I mean, come on. You see, I don't.
Yeah, but there's a time and a place, right? So I think the live show is specifically for the subject and the subject alone, and there are various tangents that people will try and wind into those subject matters, and I'll listen for a bit, and if it does work out as a tangent to the subject we're covering, then fine. But on the whole, I like to keep it very, very subject specific on the live show. But in the pre-show, the semi-related, the personal stuff, the people, yeah, it's a bit lowbrow, but it's a warm-up, right? We're warming up to talking about the nature of reality, so you've got to warm up with something. The lowbrow, base level stuff we're discussing here is just Go on.
No, I was there when you went to Bob and tried to show the scientific method. I mean, I listened to that show and I saw the fallout, but it's like, okay, well, there it is in context. Said something, Nathan went to him, this is what happened, we move on. But at the same time, talking about it a couple of years later, what's the point?
Well, the point back then was specific because it went out to millions. And it's still, to this day, quoted in the comments, people saying, thanks, Bob, proving 15 degrees drift. Now that's been turned around to our advantage. It's taken 2 years. But at the time, it seemed like a Neil. That's you, isn't it? I can guarantee it.
Your mic, Neil.
Oh, sorry. See, that's what happens when you got to get off the phone and then get back on. You don't realize you're not on mute.
Fair enough.
No, you're right, but that was addressed on topic, on subject, and okay, then it comes to where we're using it. I remember what's his name came on, and you were talking about the sun casting shadows underneath the clouds, and you went right to it. Oh, so that's Earth-based Coriolis then, right? He died a quick death there.
Yeah, I like the Coriolis more and more. I'm sure I made this analogy months and months ago, but I said it probably about a different subject. But there's an analogy with, I think it's a level in Doom. I can't remember the exact game. It's not really important. But there's a speedrunner. Speedrunning is just trying to get to the end of a game as quickly as possible, for those who don't know. And one of the levels has got these little walls that you've got to walk along that are like tight-ropes. And this particular guy is like, I hate them. You've got to slow down to go faster, and no speedrunner wants to go slow to go fast. It defeats the purpose, right? You want to go fast. You just want to run across these tight ropes, and obviously you die if you do. So this guy dedicates a lot of time and effort to these tight ropes that he hates. And over time, he learns to love them. And he likes them by the time he's actually got them mastered, because mastering something that's difficult at first is horrendous and you hate it. But then when you become skilled at it, it becomes a pleasure. Well, we're on that cusp of having Coriolis virus. That key bit of trivia for the local time is pertinent. It's you can taste how it's turning in our favour from a convoluted nonsense of hour-long debates where you feel like you've made progress because you have actually won your point, but it's taken an hour to do it. Whereas now we can have a 40-minute absolute pummeling on things like Coriolis effect with this non-stop asserting welcome to flat Earth and no drift, things like that. Well, that's much more fun, right?
Oh, yeah. Let me see if I could do a good explanation.
While you do, I've got to press a couple of buttons, so if I disappear off mic for a second, you'll know why.
Well, I need you to hear what I'm saying, though. So, are you going to be there? I guess not.
Answer that.
No, I was going to say, hopefully he's listening. Back then, I said, I love the Coriolis argument. I've always loved it. And it's the way my mind works. It's just so basic. If the Earth is turning, underneath a bullet of football, it's got to be turning under a plane and everything else. So it's over for me right there because I have that view of it. I don't get into the details any more than that. And where the Coriolis got all messed up was when Zanuck would come and start saying words and taking you adrift of the actual argument and convolute it and get bogged down. Well,
Exactly.
I never got bogged down because I said, well, look, after 40 minutes of you messing it up more than it should be, is the Earth rotating? Yes. Is something leaving unattached to it, rotating with the Earth? Well, he's only got one of two answers, yes and no. And if he says yes, then the atmosphere is lockstep with the Earth. Well, we can easily disprove that. And if he says no, then he just wasted 40 minutes. So for me, it was very simple. It was there, but then, everybody.
Yeah, but it did go through its phases, though.
Well, the reason is because everybody wanted to debunk every argument he brought up, which wasn't necessary.
Right. The only thing necessary was what you said. If an object, anything is leaving the Earth and the Earth is spinning, then we should see constant deflection.
Correct. And if we don't, then we have a whole other issue to talk about that is not reality, which is lockstep air movement with the Earth's rotation.
Yeah, but that's foolish too. I used to say that all the time because I remember a few times I'd say, wait a second. I play ball with my son every day. When I throw that ball, it should be deflecting somewhere, correct? Yes, and then they would get back into the projectile and this and swinging on pendulums.
Well, we saw
it was a disaster.
Right, but it was like I never wanted to give them that basis argument because it was to hijack the point and to convolute everything. And we on the show, between different panel members, wanted to go and pummel every one of those things. Well, by the time every one of those things got pummeled, it was 40 minutes into 2 hours into the show. And I remember Sleeping Warrior coming on. Are we still talking about Coriolis? Can we get off the subject?
Yeah. Meanwhile, we wanted a quick death, right? It's a quick death now.
Well, it is a quick death now.
Exactly.
And it was but what I'm trying to say is it was a quick death then too, if you stayed on topic.
I know.
Because it's logic and reality. If the Earth is spinning and you leave it, the Earth is still spinning and you left it and spinning under you, like they say it does for footballs and bullets. So guess what? The only way out of it for them was to never say those things, but they did.
Yeah.
What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching. Then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected. And if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. One last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now, we are joined by Neil, 10th man, and a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
Greetings, everybody.
Also got Brian's Logic, who was trying to get in right while I was doing my intro. Thank you very much indeed, Brian. How you doing, Brian? I'm okay, to be sure.
Hey Nathan, hey everyone, how are things?
Hey, Brian.
Excellent. Good to have you. Excellent stuff. I'm going to do a quick shout out first and foremost. It'll only be quick today because I've already done it once in the pre-show. But a massive shout out to all of the people who have supported my GoFundMe campaign fundraiser. So finishing off the YouTube studio here has required a lot more money than I first anticipated. So massive shout out to the anonymous contributor who donated and contacted me over the weekend, Jesse, Jeff, and Kevin. So huge, massive thanks to all of you. If you did want to donate, make sure you set the tip amount to 0, which is just a way of making sure that all the funds go to the campaign, obviously, unless you want to tip GoFundMe. And if indeed you do want to support the campaign just by sharing it, just smash the share button. That always helps if you didn't necessarily want to contribute. So I will do that exactly myself now and actually share the link myself, and then we'll ask some housekeeping questions. So it's not going to be a massive plug, but a huge thank you to all of you who have supported my GoFundMe campaign over the weekend. Any signs of a physical geometric sphere-edge horizon, formerly known as the curve of the Earth?
Not from Two Harbors General Store.
Alwyn.
Welcome.
From high altitude.
Flat
balloon
Earth
footage.
debate.
Welcome. Arwin, good to have you.
Yes, good to be back, guys. Really good to be back.
Wow, you
sound good.
Good.
Yeah, Arwin sounds more enthusiastic than ever. What's going on?
Yes. Well, you might notice a little difference. Just like the little difference in Lord of the Rings Part 2. I have returned.
You've
Well, I
come for
said a prayer
sec-
for you.
I am no longer gray. I am now white.
You've come for second breakfast, I take it.
Yeah, I'm also very, very hungry. That's right.
Oh, alrighty then. So the Grey Wizard has returned and all is well.
Yes. Yeah, I know you thought I was dead. So did I last week. But yeah, I was just falling into the pit with the Balrog. But yeah, he's dead now.
I don't know
And
about
I've returned.
I don't know about thinking you were dead, but I could have killed you when you had a blazing row with Bob Nodell in the live chat. But there we go. That's life.
Yeah, well, yeah, hey, if you see a goblin, you gotta kill it, you know? So
Moving on. Any evidence of
Gosh.
any
Come
evidence
on,
of
he's not a
axial
goblin.
rotation of the Earth-based variety?
okay, he's a cave
No.
troll.
No axial rotation, no 15-degree deviation either.
Yep.
Wait a second. Neil deGrasse Tyson says a field goal was made because of Earth's rotation. And he is the high priest.
Yeah, he's claiming the standard rhetoric. Earth turns underneath at 15 degrees an hour to cause apparent deflection. Ergo, ball deflects through goal because Earth turns underneath at 15 degrees an hour, according to his claim. Just standard globe claim. Problem is, it doesn't actually happen. If it did, it would shorten flight times when travelling west. Drones would whiz away from you at 1,000 miles an hour on the equator as you turned underneath them. None of that happens. And when we point that out, they say words to the effect of, we wouldn't expect to see drift, even though they're claiming we have 15 degrees an hour of it. And it's quite funny to point that out.
But all the ballers here are fighting against it.
Yeah, and we welcome them all to Flat Earth with their denial of the 15 degrees an hour drift Neil deGrasse Tyson's claiming.
Yeah, well, we got 15 degree an hour drift, but it's of the sun, and it has 24 of those 15 degrees. And what they do is they say, oh, let's take that sun and put it way out there and say the Earth is turning to cause the drift.
And is that who's making that noise? Arwin.
What?
Making a right racket. Sensitive mics on meat.
Wasn't me.
No, it's Arwin. Any evidence of the
Do you
distance
have
to the
to
sun?
mute here? Or?
Yeah, always. 3 years Arwin's been doing this show. Yes, when you're not talking, please mute. Thank you, Arwin.
Yeah,
He has definitely been reborn. He's forgotten everything about how the show runs.
Sorry, it's just this new thing. You know, this Hangout system.
It's exactly the
my
same.
gosh.
I was just thinking today how unbelievably similar it is to Hangouts. It's just almost identical in almost every way.
Yeah, Nathan, where's the mute button on this new system? Come on, man.
Ugh. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
No evidence for the distance to the sun.
Oh, really? I saw Eric's Dubé's video in which he said that it had a very specific distance and size. Over
Okay.
the
I quite like that because he later goes on to poo-poo their use of its angular size.
Uh-huh.
So it's 30 miles across. Oh, is it? But yet they use angular size. Oh, right. That's interesting. Nevertheless, right, criticisms of Dubé aside, right, he and Quantum Eraser both picked up on Sabine's nonsense. If eyeglasses and technology, then we've got a globe Earth. I thought that was absolutely hysterical.
Yeah.
And Dubé was on that like flies on the proverbial poo-poo.
Yeah, it was a good video,
true.
and I liked his part about relative density. He really nailed that part. I loved it.
Indeed, he
Can you
did.
give,
Yes, he did.
Tony would have been proud of it.
Can you give context to Sabine's analogy a bit more, please? I haven't seen it.
I just gave it. Because of technology, we have... If you're ever worried about a flat earther having a better argument than you, know this, Globers. Sabine says, if we have computers and we have eyeglasses, i.e. we've got technology to make these things, then we're obviously in the position to trust the scientists. And scientists say globe. So if computers, then globe. That's her logic.
Wow.
That-
Not
the
some things
video
don't
that-
change. Go on, Brian.
Sorry, the video Aaron was talking about, I posted in Master B. What the part I liked a lot about it was that he actually called her out on the whole flat Earth society thing. I did a response to that video myself, and I called her out on that. Her using flat Earth society as the flat Earth and using this upward pizza disc thing through space model that we don't ever claim. And he went through the history, and he had some photographs and stuff that I actually myself couldn't find online, but he must have found them a good long time back because he was maybe back in 2015 or 16, and he laid out the history of the flat Earth and people who were flat earthers before the now flat Earth the present day flat Earth, and how nobody ever claimed that we were on a pizza disc flying upward through space. You know, and he just showed her research level to be horrendous. So that was very good.
I find that a very cheesy comment coming from her.
I mean, she just bought into the standard mainstream. Anybody who's coming at Flat Earth from a reasonable size mainstream channel always attacks it in that way. They say, here's my baseless assertion generalization fallacy in terms of what a flat earther thinks. It's based on Flat Earth Society. Here's what the Flat Earth Society say.
Yeah, and the worst part is people like her who come out and say these kind of things and attack us in that way from their positions of authority, being PhDs and whatever, having a big YouTube following. They never address us then after that. When we address where they were wrong in their video, they never address us afterwards. Our comments are always ignored. Our response videos are ignored. All of it.
Well, at least they're paying attention, as someone wrote in chat, to even discuss the subject. So we are having an effect.
Oh, certainly.
Yeah,
I mean, it's been a year now since Tyson and I believe it was Joe Rogan discussed Dubé. Very specifically, Flat Earthers and Dubé.
They have some kind of must be some kind of a kind of unwritten rule to just never address flat earthers who address their videos or their claims about flat Earth.
No, they specifically
Joe
gave that as the...
Joe Rogan is a full-on baller, guys. Come on.
I know.
He tend to entertain the moon landing once because it was trendy. It was trendy. He doesn't give a shit, man. He's just talking about the most disgusting, corrupted shit you can imagine. He's
No,
just
he got
pandering to bankers.
No, he got awestruck by Neil deGrasse Tyson. He came in and muddied the water, and Rogan fell for it, hook, line, and sinker.
He
Just
has
because they had enough fuel.
he has technocrat millionaires on his show, man. Who gives a shit what he thinks?
I've forgotten Brian's
Well,
point now, and I was going to comment on it. What were you saying, Brian?
Yeah, I was just saying that that they seem to have an unwritten rule, these PhDs, and that they attack us through YouTube.
Right.
An unwritten rule to never respond to our responses to their videos, to our
Yeah.
comments underneath anything. They don't address us ever. They address flat out, but they don't address the flat outers, if you know what I mean.
It was one of the pieces of advice on that website. I can't remember who brought it up, but it was like, gain their trust. That's their main objective. And you read between the lines, man. The Globe's a cult. They're not interested in fighting our arguments and defeating it. They're interested in gaining trust and belief in the rhetoric.
Right. If they don't have trust, then they can't start up their routine with the idea, the mind experiment, that the horizon is actually the edge of a sphere you're looking past. If you can't do that, then they have literally nothing. They don't have any arguments grounded in physics.
That's true, but it's much more far-reaching. If you're a liar and you need to convince people of whatever, then you need to know that they trust you when you lie to them. Now, the heliocentric base for people's worldview in terms of their existence is just part of one of many lies that you must accept to be a functional part of the rhetoric and society that they, whoever they are, have chosen we should accept. Now, if you're not accepting of it, it doesn't matter that you're right or wrong. It matters that you're not accepting of it. And you need to be accepting of it, because when we tell you other things, we need you to know that you're accepting of those things too. So you need to be trusting of us, not understanding whether it works or not. You just need to trust us. So don't worry about the arguments. Worry about trusting people. Okay, that's their way of being. Well, who's going to do that? Well, a narcissistic abuser is going to do that. That's what they do. Narcissistic abuser will tell you it's for your own good as well. Well, you know, the people who narcissistic abusers want are the people who are complicit or will be willing to be abused. The people who aren't, they don't care that they're going to point out how wrong what they're doing is. They're not interested. They're interested in you being in a position to be abused by them and nothing else. So our argument being right or wrong is only going to appeal to your rational man, but then he's got to make a decision, and this is where a lot of the fundies lose sleep. Because then you've got to say, but then I have to realise that I can't trust the narcissistic abuser anymore. Yeah, that's right. yeah. It's got far wider reaching implications, hasn't it now? And I'm in no doubt, I've had this confirmed a couple of times now, that they are losing sleep over this. It bothers them greatly. Me, I don't lose an ounce of sleep over any of this. And I'm confident in saying none of you guys do either. I've had accounts from flat earthers where it's the complete antithesis of that. They're losing sleep until they find out that they're just in a position where they've been lied to and deceived and the world isn't exactly how they thought it was. And then they get more sleep as a result. They're more relaxed. And I'm one of them.
Talking about sleepless people, look who's in chat. Mr. Reference Frames himself. Oh, the irony.
Good morning, Chocolate.
Hey, Chocolate, how's it going?
Morning, Chocolate.
Good morning, people. How's everybody?
Very good, very good. It's one of them, you know, Dan has got his useful place here now, and that will never change. You know, that quote from Dan about you and your reference frames, given that they are you and your reference frames on the globe side, that's permanent. You know, that's never going to go away. It's like Thunderfoot Clown. Gas go down, go boom, boom, permanent. Gravity's not a force, but you can think of it as a force, permanent. These are features. Dan's a permanent feature on the show now. You know, if he likes that, great. If he doesn't like it, it doesn't matter either way.
By the way, that rumpus part you had, when was that? Thursday or Friday? It was absolutely epic, man. I've watched that thing like 3 or 4 times now.
You actually mentioned that. I mentioned it at the pre-show that you said it was a good show.
It's really good. It's one of your best.
12.99 was the number.
He was arguing that night. He was on Ranties that night, and Paige brought up, because Paige obviously listens to the show all the time, and she brought up that whole debacle with him and bouncy balls and gas molecules, and he was arguing his point there as well. He was trying to argue that it was analogous and it was a good demonstration of it and all this sort of stuff. Paige holds him to task pretty well though. Mark Howard.
Epic. Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Yeah.
Yeah?
No. No,
What?
no, not yeah. No.
Well,
But-
the fact that people are wearing eyeglasses and we have a computer, that means everything that the heliocentric model is proposing is true because science. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
I have
man.
a question.
Hold on,
about
hold
it,
on.
though.
This is a bit of a
Is
revelation.
the molten iron inside that core, is it actually flowing in relation to the Earth's surface?
I believe no
Does
one
it
just
have
paid attention
momentum,
to
or
what
does
chocolate
it
just.
spin with the rotation of the Earth?
I believe no one just paid
Did you
attention to that
just-
absolute revelation out of the lips of Chocolate saying. That was absolutely profound. I'm almost tempted to move over to the globe side. Can you repeat that profound logic? Because it's absolutely sublime. I mean, I'm that close to converting. Maybe I misheard a little bit, though, but tell me again, Chocolate.
I mean, supposedly, we've got people out there like Sabine Hassel, whatever her name is, saying things like, well, we know the Earth is a globe because we have things like eyeglasses and laptops and people are wearing clothes and stuff. Therefore, science, therefore, globe. I mean, doesn't that just want to
Right.
convert you like in a minute?
In a heartbeat. If science, then globe. The only problem is, Sabine, that there isn't any science that you have on your side whatsoever. So if science, what you mean? If pseudoscience and logic that doesn't relate to the subject, then globe, that is the most piss-poor logic I've ever heard.
Well, by that standard, I'm still a goldsmith. So if I could make like a really cool object with my goldsmithing, does that mean that legitimizes why the Earth is flat?
If you say, if you draw that non sequitur by her standards, yes. If goldsmithing, then flat Earth. Yeah, it's as preposterous as that. Yes, that's correct.
Okay, cool.
Well,
Not cool. Cool. Oh, what? So you'll utilise that baseless non sequitur fallacy, will you, Arwin? Because it's so wonderful. My sarcasm was a bit too thick, it seems.
Yeah, but at least Arwen's goldsmithing has a chain reaction.
Oh my God.
No.
I got the one about cheese a minute ago too, Taint, and I wasn't even going to address it.
Well, shout out to Eric DeBay and Quantum Eraser who immediately pounced on this, and I'm like, yeah, you're both spot on. It's absolutely useless. And anybody watching that goes, yeah, we've got science, yeah, we've got science, therefore globe. Anybody who actually is dumb enough to buy that is just be on the globe side. You are dumb enough to not want to be here. I don't want you here if you just buy that as logical consistency. Oh my God, Sabine.
Right. I think it's safe to say that the average herd animal is more intelligent and would not be fooled by something that stupid. Like, you know what I mean?
Can I say what really disappointed me about that? I mean, obviously, this whole heliocentric nonsense is just buffoonery, right? But then, all right, so this lady is representing that side of this argument, right? But what disappoints me is that she can't even be honest about it. Now, it's either she's being dishonest or you're just really lacking in your research, because when she says flat earthers think that the earth is gravity doesn't exist because of the upward acceleration of the earth, the disk of the earth, to me it just makes it like, how can I even respect you as a person on the other side when you're obviously not even taking this seriously? Because if you've done any research, you would know there's not one flat earther that's actually arguing for the earth moving upwards. That's literally more conducive to your side than our side, if anything.
Yeah, it's just straight out flat
To
Earth society.
blatantly say that, it's like you either really didn't do your research or you're just really out here bullshitting. It's one or the other.
Well, her research is going to the Flat Earth Society website. Let's have a quick listen to what she's saying.
That gravity does not exist, and that the observations we normally attribute to gravity come instead from the upward acceleration of the flat Earth.
Yeah. No, that's just a Flat Earth Society narrative. Nobody punts that. As was pointed out by Eric DeBay. Who's claiming that exactly? Oh, the Flat Earth Society. Top Google search. So she's Google searched it. Top result. Flat Earthers say this. Wow, that's extensive research and a baseless generalization. and a stereotyping fallacy. Wow. Unbelievable.
Well, it's ironic that we're on the any evidence for the molten iron core, I think it is, we're on now. And during her video, Eric Debay points out very clearly that she uses the word belief. So flat earthers believe this and flat earthers believe that. He points out, no, we don't believe this and we don't believe that. It has been shown to be demonstratable and repeatable. And that's why we always see flat. We always don't experience a curve or rotation and all this kind of stuff. So it's always the case that entropy will take place. It's like we don't believe things. We don't just believe something for the sake of because it suits what we want something, but what we want to be real.
Right. They're turning.
She has to believe that I just want to finish. She has to believe that there is a molten iron core. Sorry, I've gone in.
Well, all I was going to say is they have to take what is basically the absurd. It's the outrageous claim. And any outrageous claim needs to come with a whole stack of evidence for it to be believed. They have the outrageous claim, molten iron core being one of them. Absolutely no evidence of it whatsoever, but you can believe in it if you want to. Now, that outrageous claim is backed by nothing, but if you don't believe the outrageous claim, you have a belief. So, hold on, because I don't believe you when you tell me, not show me, that there's a molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth. In spite of the fact that the Earth is obviously and observably flat, and we have debunked any notion that we have any curvature demonstrable whatsoever beyond a reification of a physical horizon, why would I accept your outrageous claim? Well, not accepting it makes you a believer in the obvious and observable nature of your reality. No, I don't have a belief in the obvious and observable nature of our flat plane we dwell atop. You have an outrageous claim that travelling south means antipodal on a ball. You're the one with the outrageous claim. It's not a belief to not believe your claim. Any evidence that you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container to press upon?
Ooh.
No, absolutely no.
That's really fun. I want to have my moment here with this because that's the question that I broke open in Dr. Becky's latest book reading live stream. Like at the end of it, I came in the chat and she was, oh, look, any questions? Not physics related, of course, not flat earth or anything globe related. And I just started like, yeah, look, I have an idea. I'm like a physics student, a hobbyist, and I'm trying to build a emulation of Earth. Just not ball Earth, flat Earth. No, I'm not gonna, just an emulation of Earth. So I'm trying to figure out like how is this gas pressure sticking to the ball in the endless outer space? Because I'm trying to make an emulation in my computer. Can anybody explain that? Instantly what happened? All these people in chat said, it's a flat earther, it's a flat earth. It's like, what are you talking about, flat Earth? What is flat Earth? I'm just, look, it's a ball, right? I just want to know how this works. I'm trying to learn physics and I want to build an emulation. Can you tell me how it works, please? It's a flat earther question. So, but can you answer it? Because that's how it's supposed to be, right?
No,
how does this work?
No, you're supposed to be believing them. Doesn't matter if you're right or wrong. You're not believing them.
Believing does not help you build an emulation. I just want to emulate it in my computer. So how does this work?
So did anybody try?
It's not relevant, Arwin. You're not a believer. Your wanting to do this is irrelevant of your belief in their cult. It's a non-cult member, is what they're saying.
Yeah, but I'm not interested in flat Earth or ball Earth.
That's all they're interested in,
how
though.
It works.
That's all they're interested in. Do you believe in the common rhetoric or not? Not does it work?
Yes, that's fine. I just want to know how it works. I don't.
You keep saying you want to know how it works.
I believe it.
And I'm telling you,
it's possible, but how is it possible?
Yeah, they're not interested in that either. They've got a cobbled together excuse if you want to look it up yourself, and they'll shout it at you if you defy it. And if it doesn't make any sense and you point that out, that's not relevant either. And they tell you in the advice to challenge flat earthers, you need to get them to trust you, not expose how the globe is real, because it isn't. Just get them to trust you. And immediately when you enter that ring, regardless of what your motivation is, You're just a non-believer, non-cult member, and they're just going to point at you and go, look, non-believer.
Well, that's kind of what I
Did you
did,
see in
because
people's phone?
if I may, please, if I want my moment with this, please, right? I spent like 15 minutes on this in that chat, and I did not mention the word flat or ball or anything or heliocentric a single time. All I wanted from them is like, can you please, yes, I believe it. Yeah, it's a ball, but can you please tell me how it works? And she told me, yeah, we already explained this 1,000 times, but not with me. I just arrived here. Can you please tell me how it works? It's this. It's like, okay, but that doesn't work because my physics teacher told me that gas is unbonded. It doesn't spin with it. And so that's, if you do it like that, it'll drive them nuts. And they, the other people, the ballers, will say flat earth, flat earth, flat earth, flat earth hundreds of times in chat without you even mentioning it, confirming or denying it a single time.
Okay, I got it. Thank you. I
Single
can draw a
time.
comparison that's one step removed even further. Not in a baller or even slightly related subject. Geo Shifter and myself were in Lewis Rossman's chat. Why is the PP bus losing voltage? I ask from the chat. And what is the reply from people who know who I am? It's a flat earth! Because regardless, they're talking about board repair in Max, but they're still part of the same cult. And that is the underlying thing that wants to get talked about by anybody who's not in the cult. Because, yeah, cult members have got to repair their MacBooks, but that person's a flat earther! So it doesn't matter, right? All that matters is you're a non-believer.
But it does matter.
It's
because
you.
you can literally tell them, no, I don't believe in flat earth. I don't care about that. I just want to know how it works because I'm very seriously trying to build something here. Can you please tell me how it works? But it has to work in physics.
Did she ever answer the question at all? Like,
well,
did she even attempt to?
Becky wasn't really, it was just book signing. She got all sweaty though, like really sweaty faced, and then ended the stream eventually. But the people in chat were just going nuts because suddenly like 10 different people in there that were just her fans were saying flat earth, flat earth, flat earther, flat earther. And I didn't even use the word flat a single time.
Okay, we heard that 10 times. Thank you. Did you, at the point that she was getting uncomfortable, was it because of that? Were those two things related?
I can't tell for sure, but it was kind of remarkable that eventually she really started to get all flushed all of a sudden. So maybe...
That could be anything. Anyway, moving on. What have we not covered? Any evidence of the R value?
Well, not really, no.
Not really.
Not really.
Well, you can never expect to see it.
Well, it's on paper.
Well, with enough distance, you could see it if it was there.
Black Swan, anyone?
Yeah, but it's not high enough.
Black Swan, anyone?
Yeah.
I'm full. I'm good. I've just had a badger.
Ooh.
Yeah, don't forget, everything has to work in the math to 3959. So it doesn't matter how they try to get out of it. If the 3959 is the distance, then it's got to match, and it doesn't. So no.
Hold on. But that's not
Well, if
entirely
you
true,
believe
though,
enough,
because
wait,
if we already got a concession that at best we disprove the radius, it could be slightly different. So
Correct.
Excuse me, guys. We all know that eyeglasses are a thing.
okay.
Therefore,
All right, let's not draw that one out. Sabine's had enough of a mention.
Chocolate, thanks for making me see straight. Thank
Hold
you.
on, Brian wants to... Hold on, guys. Brian, go ahead.
Oh, no, I wasn't saying that. I was just laughing at Chocolate's joke.
So, Chocolate, what you're
Well-
basically saying is we got lenses, so ball Earth radius. That's the proof.
excuse me. Are you not on a computer? Therefore, we are living on a spinning water ball. Thank you. Science.
Hmm. Okay, but the question was radius, though.
Still
Well,
science.
maybe
Pick
with
up
the
laptops.
eyeglass we can see radius.
No, it's a geometric measurement,
Right.
not optical.
Well then.
Don't say measurement. What do you mean?
Well, if you actually had a sphere in front of you, you could do that math, and it would work. Now, the only problem is that if you have a ball in front of you, then you have actually got a physical tangent point to measure to. Whereas if you're utilising a non-physical apparent location, i.e. the horizon, and assuming that's a physical tangent point like you'd have on an actual ball, then you've got a massive problem, especially when the black swan points out that it's non-physical, way beyond the parameters of the geometry, and the rebuttal is, we wouldn't expect to see geometry, so we wouldn't expect to derive an R value then, because we can't see a tangent point and we can't draw a straight line to it. Bye-bye globe model, bye-bye globe geometry, globe dead, end of the road, the model's untenable.
Good morning.
Good morning. Paul, did you want to add something, Sin?
Paul.
S-I-N in Discord? Clearly not.
You know the 8 inches per mile squared calculation? The baller has often said that that's only good for up to 80 miles, this kind of rubbish, because they're trying to belittle it. And they always come out with, oh, it's a parabola, or it's a parabola? Is that what they say it is? It's not, it doesn't make up a circle or whatever. But like quantum ratio even states that it's good for 1,000 miles. I've heard surveyors say it's good for 1,000 miles. Like that type of calculation.
That's not true.
Well, I'm only going by what they say, right? Now, it was from Pythagoras that comes from. Really what I'm kind of saying is that, I mean, you won't see only a certain distance anyway, but really, I don't know what way my best way to say this. I mean, 1,000 miles, if it's good for 1,000 miles, I've heard George Nitschuk say, no, it does, that if you do the maths correctly, it does make the whole sphere. It's not just good for 1,000 miles. And I've heard him put a lot of people straight, several people straight at one time on Jose's about it. But if, like I say, if you make 24 of those 1,000 miles, that makes up your full globe. So if you start over 1,000 miles later, you know, that would make a full globe. You know, that's maybe not mathematically correct, but the point is that like that exact calculation for 1,000 miles. So 1,000 miles of drop. You know, that if you just start again, you'll do another 1,000 miles of drop, and then another 1,000 miles of drop. So 24 times over, and you'll end up, you know, maybe a little bit over 1,000 miles. You'll end up with, you know, you'll end up with your globe.
Yeah, if you start the measurement each time, when they say that it doesn't work, it's beyond a certain distance from a certain point. Now, obviously, you could draw that measurement, and it's in line with how the surveyors work, and then you start afresh when you get to that limit. But the limit is, you know, about 1,000 miles. You know, about the same, it runs about the same and looks about the same as how you calculate out the Rayleigh criterion just by coincidence.
Yeah. Yeah, you see, you can either do that or you can extend.
Excuse.
Go on. Sorry, chocolate.
No, I was just gonna say, whenever I hear, oh well, the 8 inches per mile square, that's, you know, it's only good for this amount, and you can't use it past this amount. Well, then where's the calculation for the rest of it? Right? Like where's the new 8 inch per mile square? Well, how do you work that out? To me, I just hear an excuse every time they say that. It's like, oh, because we can't actually measure this curvature, we're going to tell you, yeah, this only works for this much until you can't get any further. Now it can't work anymore. But I've never heard the new formula, the new equation.
Let's just make it clear. There can't be a new version because of the problems with the old version. Because the old version, let's just call it as we've termed it here, 8 inches per mile squared. What's the problem with an 8-inch value? Well, the problem is that doesn't change with distance. So let's say you're looking at an 8-inch brick and it disappears completely from view based on angular limitations. If you draw that in orthographic view, you can still draw a line between the man and the 8-inch brick and then write 1 million miles on the line between them. Makes no difference in orthographic view. But of course, in reality, things get smaller with distance. So as soon as you say, oh, well, it's 8 inches per mile squared, that we'll lose things from the bottom up because of earth curve obstruction in the way. Oh, right. Well, what about the fact that things get smaller as they get further away? Well, no, they don't. They're always 8 inches. No, not when you're looking at a photograph, they're not. You know, the trees in this picture in the far distance are smaller than the ones in the near foreground. Well, no, they're probably about the same size. They just look smaller. But if you attribute them with a feet and inches or meters value, they never change at any distance. Very useful if you're going to call the effect of things getting too small to see, and the limitation against the deck being the reason they disappear from bottom up at the most extreme limits, given the fact that weather can get in the way, swells of water can get in the way, and many things between you and anything a mile or more away can get in the way. But all of those things are always going to be called earth curve if you attribute an 8-inch value that doesn't change with distance. Or to put it more succinctly, earth curve mathematics utilizes actual sizes to hijack the effect of perspective. That would be angular sizes, and that's things changing with distance, which they do when you're looking at them. So comparing photographs of horizons where things on them have got smaller with their distance to a calculation that has them disappearing at a feet and inches or meters value based on the mile squared doesn't give you an accurate representation of reality. In reality, things get smaller with distance. They've hijacked perspective and called it earth curve.
That's exactly right.
Hashtag shit shrinks.
Yeah,
you
stuff
can either
gets smaller.
believe that there's an 8 inches per mile drop, or you can accept that you've got visual limitations.
Yeah, angular limitations. And an 8-inch value isn't going to change with angle at a distance. But the angular size, the not actual size, the apparent size, the size things appear does. Here's a load of identically sized columns. Every single one the exact same length. This one looks smaller. Has it gone over earth curvature? Because the only thing in earth curve mass that could attribute this is earth curve. Now, obviously, the further you go, the smaller this will become, until eventually it disappears from view, at which point earth curve math says earth curve got in the way, completely ignoring the fact that the angular size of each one of these columns gets smaller with distance. Smaller and smaller and smaller the further they get away. Well, when they eventually disappear from view, if you've ignored that fact by giving them a 3-meter value, then this is 3 meters and this is 3 meters, and that is accurate. Other than the fact that one looks smaller than the other, that's its apparent size. The angle to the item gets smaller, completely hijacked by earth curve mathematics, so they can assert that the horizon is a physical obstruction obscuring your view.
Yeah, and another claim that's connected to that whole bending or that whole curvature argument is this is a backing up of the 7/6R. Instead of speaking about where the 7/6R calculation comes from, and then showing how you can't see the radius because of the 7/6R that's calculated from them seeing the radius, right? From them seeing the geometric horizon. We can't see the geometric horizon because of the 7/6R, and the 7/6R is calculated from them supposedly seeing the geometric horizon. Instead of speaking about that, they keep saying that light bends down towards the denser medium, right? But when you fire a laser across an ice lake, the laser starts to eventually bend up the way, not down the way. It keeps on, lasers keep on doing this. But the denser air will be closer to the surface of the ice because it'd be colder. So, I don't know.
But again, making comparisons with what lasers do in imagery is optical effects. And their optical effects are completely ignored when they give everything an actual size value that doesn't change with distance. So this view is a horizon running the center of the image, albeit with a horizon of trees. This is a horizon, right? Something in the near foreground obscuring things in the background at the limit of view. The convergence point. Well, if you turn this into begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective hijacking, earth curve mathematics, this line will be represented by a single point. And that single point is what they will call the horizon, even though horizons don't represent themselves in that way. They have a single point with targets in the distance, measured in feet and inches, and asking you, a flat earther, no doubt how it's the case that 3 feet of the building's missing. It's like, well, the 3 feet of the building is a completely different angle if you're right next to the building. You'd have to crane your neck to look up to it. But a mile away, you don't anymore. Because it's reduced towards the horizon as it's got smaller with distance. Well, at the point that it's across the deck, with the deck limiting the angle to the bottom of it, you can have things disappear from view much sooner than if you have a completely wide open angle as you do with the sky. So the deck will cause the limitation of angle to come sooner and block things from bottom up, in their view, caused by Earth curve, in reality, caused by a limitation of angle.
Exactly.
It's
funny. Well, sorry.
I was just asking if that was it. We've covered all the housekeeping questions. I lose track if we get about beyond 30 minutes into the show.
I don't know if we did any viable hypothesis from cosmology, astrophysics.
We didn't, but you go ahead now. You've reminded me. Whatever you were going to say, feel free.
Is there any viable hypothesis from cosmology, astrophysics, or astronomy?
They're halfway there. They've got plenty of phenomena to study. DVs up the wazoo. Just no hypotheses, ever, in any instance. So when you next hear a pseudoscientist claiming that the space is caused by blah blah blah, no, it isn't. That's just a just-so story. Probably called science, immediately invalidating it and justifying it as its actual title of pseudoscience, which you've got a lot of on the globe side.
Yeah, I don't know what you guys are talking about. Somebody just walked by me with eyeglasses on, so.
I'm pretty sure I've got several computers just within eyesight, so that pretty much proves the globe for me. Chocolate, I don't know, if you don't need eyeglasses, computers are good enough.
Yeah. Even better if you look at the computer with the eyeglasses on. I mean, that's science on top of science, man.
Yeah.
We got a problem. We got a problem. I'm pretty sure that everybody that's watching this show has proof the Earth is a globe right in front of them.
Right, on their laptops. That's right, Chocolate. The wider implications are unbelievable. Everybody watching this show is looking at it on a computer. And computer means science, and science means globe.
We're all literally proving the globe right now.
You're all watching this thinking we're proving flat Earth, and Sabine has told you, right, just by the nature of watching flat Earth debate, you're basically proving the globe. I'd take that and go to Next Man and use it as a proof. And it'll work, because they'll be reassured that you're in their cult. So they won't care what you've said or whether or not it proves it. Likewise, if you come along and prove it's wrong, that doesn't matter either, as I was trying to explain to Owen at the beginning of the show. It doesn't matter that you can see every hole in their Swiss cheese argument. What matters is you don't believe them. That's it. That's all that matters. You haven't got faith.
Yeah, when you were talking about being in Lewis Rossman's chat, and Arwen was asking questions in Dr. Becky's, and straight away people went flat earther, flat earther, flat earther. It's like, non-believer. It's like they are the people's front of Judea, and they see us as the Judean people's front. Get away from the life of Brian. That's who we are to them.
What happened to the Popular Front?
Yeah. Who is it?
The Popular Front.
Yeah, we're
Popular
the
Front of
wizards.
Judea.
We're the people that ask questions. It's terrible to them. It's terrible. And they call it flat earthers, but it's just people that want to know. That's all, really.
That's Arwen
How
ruining
dare they ask questions? Seize them.
Arwen was ruining a perfectly good Monty Python punchline right there. Never mind.
Sorry.
They deflect on purpose, because when they come on a show like this, they get beat up. The real flat earth debate is here. And other shows like this, I would say, as well. So they can't debate flat earthers here, as this show has proven. So they must create a flat earth narrative they can defeat and mock. So what is that? That's the flat earth society.
That's the controlled opposition way.
Whenever this comes up, what's that?
That's the way you do it, with controlled opposition. Don't fight with the people who actually have an argument. Employ people on your own side to have an argument with them, and make sure that's very public. Like Sabine debunking the Flat Earth Society. Well, that's very useful, because obviously anyone who comes along says, right, Sabine says flat earthers think Earth's a pancake with boats falling off it, when in reality, their own religion has Earth a sphere with the horizon physical with boats going over it. That's the reality. But she says, we think pancake Earth flies up at 9.8 meters per second. No, we don't. Flat Earth Society, who is employed to be an opponent to defeat, says that. We don't say it. But people who are here on the globe side to, fight their cognitive dissonance and pain are here because they have actually considered this and have realised there's an issue and they want to get to the heart of the issue and debunk it quick to ease their pain. But those people are actually on the fringe of not being a normie, as much as I might hate to admit it. The people who are just going to go to Sabine and nowhere else, those are normies, not the people who come here on the globe side, I mean.
Well,
maybe Sabine would like to have an interview with Professor, in quotations, Brian Cox, because he describes Einstein's general theory of relativity as the Earth moving up to meet the apple. So maybe they need to get together and figure out their own bullshit.
They already did. That's the purpose of the bullshit. Why do you think they've got a boat falling off the edge of a pancake Earth in Flat Earth Society rhetoric? Because they've got boats falling over the edge of a sphere. Best not to point out they don't have a physical reified sphere edge horizon. Much better to just put that on your opponent and debunk that. Let's debunk their boats going over the horizon. And meanwhile, we'll push that boats go over the horizon. Same thing.
Yeah, but chocolate.
I'm nearly there. Same thing with gravity. So you're saying, well, why is it coincidental that you've got 9.8 meters per second and 9.8 meters per second, let's call it squared? Because that sounds a bit different. Well, the reason is simple. Because it's much easier to have part of your own narrative ingrained in your opposition's narrative. For example, gravity, things falling over edges, and space. Where's the pancake flying up through? Oh, well, it's in space. Because the sky's still a vacuum in our opponent's rhetoric. Is it? No, you can't have gas pressure without a container. It's absurd. The sky's not a vacuum. So what's Flat Earth Society got as their model? Oh, right, models are pseudoscience. We don't have them either. Well, what about the boats falling over the edge? Well, we don't have them either. We point out how your boats are falling over an edge on the globe side of the argument. But it's much easier to defeat a Flat Earth narrative that's got that happening for us. Because obviously we go around all day claiming boats fall over edges, because that doesn't make us seem totally insane. Meanwhile, that's precisely what globeheads claim! Boats fall over edges!
Yep.
And then now in 2020, they want to come in and try to remind us about optics and perspective. How adorable.
Yeah, our argument, you mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Chocolate, I was going to say, how did the apple know that it was going to be food?
Just reminded me of something because I just spotted Dan again in the chat. So, sorry. The problem with that is that eventually you'll get some complete clown idiot like Simon Dan come along and doesn't realise how the doublespeak rhetoric works. And they will say something like, you and your reference frames are ruined, to an opponent that doesn't have any reference frames. And reference frames are crucial to their own argument. But because it's been pushed to the point where the opponent's argument is represented as their own, like boats falling over a pancake, yeah? When you push that to the limit on a side that's stupid and doesn't actually understand that their argument is A, wrong, and B, requires doublespeak, they'll start to attack the doublespeak being detailed by their opponent because they mistake it for being claimed by their opponent. Now, Dan has done exactly that. It's the straw that broke the camel's back when it came to the Coriolis virus. The pandemic started at that particular ground zero. Start by attacking me for my reference frames that I don't have. Now, in the case of the Flat Earth Society rhetoric, there is actually a narrative where boats fall over an edge. They've got it in their pictures. Now, that's a much easier juxtaposition to doublespeak because you can actually try and claim, even though it's incorrect and a baseless generalisation stereotyping fallacy, that I've got boats falling over an edge. Because Flat Earth Society says I've got boats falling over the edge when I haven't. They have, as a controlled opposition narrative. But I don't have any reference frames. I've got no requirement for a claim of Coriolis. And yet Dan's debunked my reference frames that I don't use. That's a demonstration of the dangerous tightrope that you must be walking on if you're engaging in false narratives that are using doublespeak. Because if you fall off the tightrope, you end up debunking your own claim, which is what Simon Dan has done. You and your reference frames are ruined. Good job I don't have any, but you do. 15 degrees an hour, Earth turning underneath. That's your claim with your reference frames, Simon Dan. But because he's stupid, he didn't realise when he tweeted me that he literally debunked his own side's claim. Because he doesn't understand the argument. But that's the problem. If you're going to put out complicated double-speak narratives to justify things that don't happen, like 15 degrees an hour drift as Earth turns underneath, stuff not attached, you're going to get clowns like Dan that don't really understand that. And then come along and debunk the globe side's claim by stating overtly that you and your reference frames are ruined. Well, there's only one person and one side that's claiming reference frames, Dan, and it isn't us. So well done, you complete idiot. You've managed to debunk the claim of reference frames that suggests Earth turns underneath stuff not attached like footballs and bullets. Well, those are the reference frames you've debunked by saying they're ruined and showing a man with no drift. Well done. That's your demonstration of stupidity. Now, the fact that Dan is claimed to be a tutor is an embarrassment because he's thick. If he was in any way smart enough to tutor people, he'd understand that telling somebody that their reference frames are ruined when you have an argument that specifically involves reference frames and your opponent doesn't, you're not in any position to be tutoring anybody. You are idiotic, Simon Dan. But thank you very much for debunking the reference frames your side needs to claim 15 degrees an hour drift as Earth turns underneath stuff not attached. Because now we can actually pummel the fact that that doesn't happen. Earth's not turning underneath blimps that watch a football game, as Neil deGrasse Tyson asserts that Earth turns underneath the football it's filming. Earth doesn't turn under drones at 1,000 miles an hour, 15 degrees an hour on the equator. They don't whiz away at 1,000 miles an hour because we're turning underneath them. That is the globe side's claim, and we definitely don't need reference frames on the flat Earth side. Good job, Dan. Thank you very much. Your stupidity prevails for the flat earthers once more.
Speaking of tutors, I mean, even Smoking the Grass himself came out and with another video talking about or reiterating how the Earth is rotating underneath a football. So maybe you should go look him up, Dan, and find out if you guys are in agreement in your little rhetoric. Obviously, you're not because you think our reference frames are ruined. Well, again, like Nathan said, we don't make claims to reference frames, but you do. And your little science communicator.
Somebody can make me a nice little thumbnail for a future video, which will inevitably be made, with Jake Paul versus Nate. And obviously Neil deGrasse Tyson, because he's black and so is Nate, is going to be the one getting knocked out in this scenario. But he's going to be getting knocked out by a transposed head of Simon Dan, because obviously Dan's knocking out Tyson by saying you and your reference frames are ruined because he's the only one claiming them. So that needs to be a thumbnail. If someone can put that together for me, that'd be ace. Yeah, flying through the air as Dan knocks him on his ass by declaring that his reference frames used to make that example are debunked. Good job.
Yeah, Dan, maybe you should try to go get a stint on Star Talk with Smoking the Grass Tyson and Chuck Nice or whatever his name is, right? So you guys can have a sit down, a little powwow about, is the Earth actually rotating underneath footballs, or are his reference frames ruined also? Dan, thanks.
Didn't Dan say that the last day he was in the chat that he was going to have to go and have a conversation with Neil deGrasse Tyson? He said that the Coriolis issue was a complicated issue. We know it's not.
That's correct.
And he was going to have a conversation with Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Correct. He said they were, quote, and I quote, tight.
Him and Neil deGrasse Tyson are tight. Is that what he said?
Really? That's adorable.
How would that conversation go?
Well, maybe they're, he'll convince them, because apparently they're still waiting around for Neil deGrasse Tyson to apologize for his claims about not being able to see curvature at 120,000 feet, like that little website likes to declare, like, oh, he was wrong, and we're expecting him soon to formulate an apology. Well, maybe they'll throw the rotation of the Earth underneath footballs in there with him, in the little powwow.
Or maybe they'll start calling him a flat earther.
Well, I was going to say that requires a welcome to flat Earth, does it not? So Neil deGrasse Tyson needs to apologise because he claimed Earth has rotation at 15 degrees an hour underneath a football. That's Coriolis effect. So he should apologise for claiming Earth is spinning. Yeah, I agree. Welcome to Flat Earth.
Yep. Snacks in the back, bathrooms to the left.
I mean, I
That's a
wouldn't be so
concession.
bold if I was in the presence of Neil deGrasse Tyson, because, you know, respect. Same goes to Dan, he's a YouTuber, you know, respect to you, my friend, more power to you as a YouTuber. Same goes for Neil deGrasse Tyson as a broadcaster, you know, in terms of his career, good for you, man. More power to you, I've got respect. And I wouldn't ever be so bold in his presence to just openly declare to him that you and your reference frames are ruined. I wouldn't dare do that. I mean, that would just be insulting, wouldn't it? Really rubbing it in his face?
It's incredible to see the side that says the Earth is rotating at 15 degrees is doing their very best to prove that it's not.
Yeah, and that's the way to rub it in his face, though, isn't it? Just tell him outright that you and your reference frames are ruined. No foreplay, just straight to the point.
Well, you wouldn't expect to see any rotation.
Yeah,
on a
yeah.
rotating globe.
Yeah.
Why would you?
Yeah.
Why would you
you're
expect
crazy.
to see rotation? I mean, come on. That's only the claim, but don't
missing a
expect to actually
point.
see it.
Missing a point. Earth is so big, you wouldn't expect to see it on it. Earth's so huge.
Well, if I get a computer and put on glasses, can I see it then?
I think if just
Well,
having a
that's doing-
computer
that's
proves
doing
Earth
science.
rotation, does it not? Am I wrong, Chocolate? I could be wrong. I haven't got it from Sabine. I'll have to double check with Sabine, but correct me if I'm wrong, Chocolate. Just having a computer proves we spin, doesn't it? Technology, that's science,
Oh, yeah.
therefore spinning.
I mean, just looking at the computer, you're doing science. So that's science on top of science on top of science, bro. You're good.
Completely agree. With that, I'll say, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. A huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out my GoFundMe campaign, which is almost at its conclusion. I've been Nathan Oakley. Stay tuned if you're watching on either premiering stream, and I'll see you all in the next video.
I said, would you expect to see curvature on a curved surface of a globe?
Based on the way you're asking, if you're a glober, the answer would be yes, I would expect to see it as a glober. But when I have to defend it, no, I don't have to see it to defend it as a glober.
But that's not true either. The geodetic surveyors would be measuring it flat, assuming it's flat, looking at it flat, taking their Cartesian coordinates into account. The only thing that differs is the assumption before doing any of that it's a sphere based on the tangent plane that they're going to be assessing. And where do they get the tangent plane idea from? Well, they say that this 90 degrees from where I'm standing, or my zenith, isn't actually 90 degrees pointing straight up to the sky. It's pointing out at a given angle on a presupposed spherical Earth based on a datum.
Well, the problem they have is they need that to go to the center of their presupposed sphere. The big problem is they're taking the observation not from the center, but at the surface of this presupposed sphere. So the angles change if you were to somehow get to that center, you wouldn't have the same angle. So they're wrong both ways.
I got an email about this actually. I'm going to read it out. Morning, Nathan. I hope you don't mind me asking a question via email, and I'm not sure how to ask it, so I really didn't want to look a dick on Discord. Lol. Okay. Is the way to calculate what the angle of a building would be over a given distance? So if I digitally measure my building at my location and record it at 0 degrees, then drive 100 miles and measure a building, there would be an angle difference. And I know I'm presupposing a globe, and I know it's not a globe, but I was thinking that flat Earth could be proven this way also. And then he gives me a picture and he shows me how he'd measure it as 0. So when I'm referencing it to 0, imagine you're standing with a line drawn from the sky down, through your head, through the ground. That's what he's calling 0. So I respond to him. Dear Darren, both globe and flat would claim 0 at any location to be the norm. A globe head would say that location is a, quote, tangent plane. Then new paragraph, tangent, ... Assuming that location is on a sphere with a datum. To do this, you assume that 0 you measured is a zenith. That is to say, 0 is actually pointing to a given angle at the centre of presupposed spherical sphere based on that datum. Plane, ... Measured flat by both globe and flat. Cartesian coordinates, no curve. Hope this helps.
Well, if you're going to, I'm kind of confused with the imagining that illustration, because the way I see it is if you're standing directly above you down would be your zenith, and 0 would make the perpendicular at the horizon, so that you have your ability of measuring something from 0 to 90 degrees.
Indeed.
There's a surveyor called Rodney B, who is on our side, and he works as a surveyor daily. And he's been on Ranties a few times. He's been in the chat on this show, I think, pretty often. But he was only on Ranties the other night, and he was speaking about how all the raw data is always in Cartesian coordinates. Everything is laid out flat, and it's all just. Now, this is from a surveyor himself. This is not from me, who I don't have a surveying license. So this is from someone who works the job every day. And Chris Van Matry, who's another surveyor who works the job every day, would say the exact same thing. All the raw data, and even Jesse Kozlowski would say it. They all have to say it because that's the truth. All the raw data is always in Cartesian coordinates, flat out coordinates, and it's all converted after that to a pre-assumed ellipsoid datum or whatever. You know, so this is all it is. This is all that's going on.
Don't you have a recording of Kozlowski saying something to that effect? Can you play that?
Not to
I
hand.
do have it's on. Yeah, I can post it. I'll have to post it in Master B. I can't play it on
It's
the
really
phone.
good, Nathan. It's perfect for this time.
Sure, I'll play it if you post
Speaking
it.
about GPS, I just go out and I get it, and I come back. I'll drop it into Master B.
But yeah, you're spot on. Beyond the presupposition of a tangent plane, that would be tangent to a physical geometric sphere edge horizon and datum measurement with a zenith assumed to point towards the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth. Beyond that, it's all measured flat. Cartesian coordinates, flat. Earth is flat. Measured flat, obviously and observably flat. We don't live on a sphere beyond the presupposition of physical horizons and geometric Earth curve edges to measure geometric R values to give you 7/6 R terrestrial refraction to move a physical location to a non-physical location with a bent tangent line. All of that's nonsense. We're living on a flat plane. It's just that simple.
Yes. Why would it be like outrageous to trust your senses empirically through your own experience, just viewing we live on a stationary horizontal Earth? You'd only have to refer to somebody else to believe in this globe.
If it was a globe, it would be obviously observably globe-shaped, and you'd notice. Same goes for spinning. It's an outrageous claim.
But people have to tell you and convince you to believe in the globe. Because if nobody told you, you would live every day of your life thinking the Earth is stationary and flat or horizontal. Like, that's just empirical truth.
Yeah.
Just to piggyback on your statement, Nathan, in navigation videos, they always say to do your celestial navigation, you have to assume the Earth is motionless and that the stars are moving. Now think about that. You have to actually go against what you say it is to get the right rating.
Yeah. Some things that are important, like getting where you're going with merchandise, better to just say it a bit more simplistically, just in case the person reading it doesn't quite get it and gets it wrong as a result. Assume it's not moving. Assume they're moving, and then do the measurement. Why? It would be the other way around if it was true, because that would be the consideration you'd need to take if it was the case. But it would manifest, right? You'd notice if Earth was turning underneath stuff not attached to make the stars move and to cause balls to drift and bullets to drift, because other stuff would drift. The stuff that's in the air for a significant amount of time. And it doesn't. So obviously they're going to say it like it is when it comes to stuff important, like moving merchandise around because there's money involved.
I dropped that thing into Master B if you want to play it.
It's just a
looped. It's just a looped piece of audio from Jesse Kozlowski speaking about GPS. And if you wouldn't mind afterwards, I might say one or two things just precisely about GPS.
In a 3D Cartesian coordinate system. It is not latitude and longitude. That latitude and longitude comes from a conversion from that box style system. That's the native coordinates coming out of a GPS system. So here's the thing I wanted to explain. GPS operates in a 3D Cartesian coordinate system. It is not latitude and longitude. That latitude and longitude comes from a conversion from that box style system. That's the native coordinates coming out of a GPS system. So here's the thing I wanted to explain. GPS operates in a 3D Cartesian coordinate system.
Yeah. That's fact. It's flat. What he's saying is, it's flat. The way the system works is flat. The way it gets the coordinates is flat. And the only thing that says otherwise for him is the assumption that you've got a zenith pointing to the presupposed centre of an Earth based on a datum. That's it.
GPS, just a small little bit of information for people out there. If you look for GPS and its origins, they'll say that GPS is controlled by the US military. This is what they say. And it went into full operation in 1995 as a military operation with, satellites, all these claims. In 1994, 1 year previous, the CORS network went into operation. And the CORS network was set up for surveying. And the CORS network is a GPS network. It's a series of towers that they give GPS information to surveyors. And people then started being able to use the CORS network outside of surveying. So that's why people ended up with, if you go back to that exact time, that was the same time when people started being able to have what's it called, sat navs in their car and stuff like that. It was about that time that you have those kind of things that started turning up. So there is no evidence for GPS outside of the CORS network. And the CORS network was set up for surveyors, as all of the mapping and everything that GPS has, all the 3D and 2D mapping, all originally came from Cartesian coordinates system being used by surveyors to lay out coordinates across our flat world.
Exactly, because it's flat. Can't have it using coordinates that are flat, X, Y, Z.
More.
If it's
than
not,
that system.
You cut out, Brian.
That was
sorry.
in 1994.
We lost the last 20 seconds of what you said.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize I cut out. Yeah, the GPS is nothing more. I can't find it to be anything more than the CORS system, the CORS network. That came out 1 year before the US military announced that GPS was a thing, and they were controlling it with satellites in space. A year previous, that was in 1995, the US military had claimed this, but in 1994, the CORS network came out. And that was for surveyors and other elements of society started using it and piggybacking onto it. But it was designed for surveyors, and all the mapping and everything that GPS has all comes from surveyors. They still use GPS and GNSS, all these systems. They all use Cartesian coordinates, just like surveyors do. So
and
it
they
all
use
comes from surveying.
Sorry to interrupt, and you got it in last time. I reiterated it straight afterwards because you happened to cut out. But they use coordinates that are X, Y, Z because it is flat. They wouldn't be if they had a curved surface beneath them. Hey, Adam.
Exactly, you wouldn't be able to do it.
Hi, guys.
Hey, Adam.
Hey, Adam. Yep. Yeah, because all the readouts, the actual scans are all blocks of flat surface, and then they geometrically or circumdicular-wise bend all that data, which in actuality was flat. It's just a bunch of flat surfaces stuck together and then warped mathematically into a ball curve structure. But the originals are all flat pieces, all of it.
Yep.
As Brian definitely demonstrated very eloquently in his videos.
Thank you,
Absolutely, yeah. Did you get any subscribers off the back of me telling people to go and subscribe to you?
I did, actually. Thank you very much. Quantum Eraser actually called me out as well on his show that night as well. So I got about 100 subscribers altogether.
Epic. I'm really pleased. Well, people should be
you.
watching your stuff. It's
I got a few subs off of you sharing my link and the video and stuff. So appreciate that.
Excellent. Yeah, I went out of my way to make sure that there was links to them, and when they were re-upped, that they had links and stuff. So I was all over the videos over the last week, just because it's easy to lose track with so many videos coming out that you have actually plugged the right people in it and put links to their channel and made sure that whoever's seen you plugging their material or discussing their material has got a way of actually going and subscribing to them. You know, I've got a lot to thank Brian for in terms of my rhetoric when it comes to arguing. And why have I got that information? Well, because Brian's given it me, no other reason.
Thank you, Nathan. But see, it's easy to give it to you because you understand it so easy. Because other people, they just don't want to understand it or they can't understand it.
Well, that might be true,
Story
but you
of
know,
mankind.
It filters down, doesn't it? You know, I'm not saying things get dumbed down, but in terms of the way that they're verbalized, originally 2015, 16 maybe, QE's on his own, isn't he? He's out there fighting the good fight. Nobody's listening, even though he's winning every argument. I'm sure people in the chat are going, "Look, flat earther," right, Arwin? Rather than, "What do you mean?"
Right.
Second law of thermodynamics debunks space. No one's saying that. But you move forward, you pass on the information, they disseminate it in their own particular way, their own special brew of that version of their version that they got from the person originally. And that might resonate with someone different. And you passing on the information to me, I'm sure I detail it differently to you. Therefore, what resonated with me from Brian, I would hope resonates with all of my subscribers. Obviously, that's not going to be the case. That's a very optimistic way of looking at it. But the fact is that it will resonate with someone. It's resonated with me. That is a fact. Therefore, it's worth pointing those people in your direction because they're going to get a benefit from it.
You're absolutely right. If I may plug into that concept, because it matters a lot what your teacher is. Like, especially kids. When I went to school, it matters everything who the teacher was. Because if the teacher and me just didn't resonate, I just wouldn't listen. Even though they would bring out the same material in the same way, I would just be, I don't like him, and that would distract me. So the actual quality of the teaching is often secondary to does the person actually connect to the teacher. And that's unfortunate that the actual quality of the teaching tends to come secondary to whether you connect to them in reality. So it's kind of a human problem that way. But that's why it's important that we get many different people of different kinds, different sort, different lengths, different brain sizes, so that everybody can find somebody they can connect to, so that they can assimilate the critical information that we're all working with together.
Yeah. And getting to the point, like, I know I laboured it earlier, but I was, although tongue-in-cheek, I meant it. You know, once you get beyond the point that if you're arguing with somebody who's on the globe side, this is a very generalised statement, but it's true for the most part. If you're arguing with them, they're only interested that you don't believe what they believe, because it is correct as far as they're concerned. It just is what it is. It's been established, and they, and I'm going to rephrase that as I know it's already true. I already know it's a globe. Now, the fact that you've come along and said you don't believe that is how it's engineered, and we discussed that on the live show too, with Sabine. So their outrageous claim isn't being proven, the burden of proof isn't being put on them, it's being reversed onto the person who challenges it, and they are deemed the non-believer. And that's just the way the rhetoric is disseminated in terms of how to challenge it if anybody questions it. So it's not in the slightest bit surprising that no one on their side is interested. In fact, they're being pushed in the direction of get these people to trust you and believe you and have faith. Don't necessarily argue with them. Don't debunk their position. Don't worry about it. Just have they got faith or not? And if they haven't, they're a lost cause. In fact, not only are they a lost cause, ridicule them relentlessly. I agree, Nathan. I'm glad we all agree.
Bev did a presentation on Ranties there on surveying. He took Jesse Kozlowski apart. He did a good job of it. He basically said a lot of right presentations, but the way he went about it, it took longer to do it, and he was answering a lot of questions in between. But because Bev has surveying background, I think when he says things, people accept them more. That kind of way. Sometimes if you don't have a background in something, people find it harder to accept information you give them. You know, so he did a better job of relaying it in some ways than what I did, but I relayed a lot in a shorter space of time, if you know what I mean. So people see it as a big complicated thing, surveying, when it's not so complicated.
I should really credit Bev as well. I said, Brian, obviously I'm going to favour you're here more often, so in the forefront of my mind, as opposed to deserving of less credit. But Bev definitely isn't deserving of less credit. He also has disseminated quite a lot of information my way. So Bev, try thinking. Subscribe today.
Right.
The difference between me and Bev is Bev is more of, like, when I was speaking about Cartesian coordinates and the ECEF system and all this, and the IRF system and all this stuff, Bev was talking just about horizontal and level, and he was keeping it simple, and he was beating the borders constantly with that. And now he's actually, with his presentation, he was adding in more stuff to do with Cartesian coordinates and stuff like that, whereas he wasn't speaking about that when I was speaking about it. So he started off simple, kept it simple, and then after that point he started adding in things more to do, more like his presentation the other night is more, the information in it is more akin to what I had in my presentations on your show, Nathan, and on Jose's. But Bev, as I said, Bev kept it simple. He kept sticking with horizontal and level. Now, for me, it was about getting the information out there, all of it. All of the information out there was he took more of the and I was more to hear, that kind of way. So,
By the way, Nathan, that he's mainly on the Emma UK YouTube channel as well. Bev, try thinking.
Right on. Shout out to Emma UK.
Ballers.
Moment of silence.
Ram-packed Discord server, by the way.
Isn't that ironic? A moment of silence for the ball when in the majority of their cosmology, there is constant silence all the time. Even though it doesn't exist.
Space, nobody can hear you scream, Arwen.
Yes. In space, nobody can hear you scream, oh, it's a stupid flat earther, it's a stupid flat earther.
Seize him! That's hilarious. You showed up.
I remember
brought out the pitchforks.
I remember leaving a comment on Sabina's channel as well as Dr. Becky, and first thing come out, you're just another flat earther. It's like, can you just answer the question?
But I did recognize immediately that in that chat, there were people, Dr. Becky's, that like Warren Evans. So these are like Jose regulars. They were all hanging in there as gatekeepers. They literally have appointed themselves as guards against flat earthers.
Yeah.
In other people's streams.
Yeah. These are beta cucks. What do you expect?
They need that.
I guess. It's their religious duty, I guess.
But why would they need that? I thought this was just so stupid and ridiculous, right? Why would they need to do such things? Why would these people stoop to these levels if this is such nonsense?
They need to protect their fellow ball believers' feelings against critical thought. Because it hurts.
Protect from people waking up out of their cult and thinking for themselves, which makes them ultimately nervous as hell that people are waking up from their cult. So because I don't think the floor is a ball that's going somewhere, I don't deserve to eat. I shouldn't, reproduce. I shouldn't do anything because my belief differs from somebody else's of the floor being a ball that's going somewhere.
Chocolate, I think based on this last...
Chocolate? How dare you?
Based on Sabina's comment, I think these gatekeepers, all they need to do is wear glasses. They don't need to type anything in.
Bro.
They're just there defending the rhetoric because it soothes their pain. Every one of us is a thorn in their side, and they don't want any more. They just want to leave people to believe, have faith, and not have anybody there challenging that. When they're getting their little dose of pain relief, they're hearing how we're stupid, and that makes them feel a little bit better. And then someone like you comes along, Arwen or 10th or Chocolate, and goes, how can you have gas pressure without a container? He's a flat earther! Condemn him! Get him out! Ban him!
And that's what Sabine was doing. She was trying to almost consoling her viewers, like, well, don't feel bad if you don't agree with the flat earthers. Just remember that we have things like eyeglasses and laptops, therefore science, therefore globe, right? Just feel better about it. How they're always appealing to emotions, man. They don't care about evidence at all.
And to trinkets. It's basically charms. Their technology are their charms of protection. It's like, it's okay, we got charms.
Yeah.
We don't need the truth.
Yeah, yes, Arwen. Yeah, look what our wizards can do. I mean, scientists. They make magic boxes. Magic boxes and magic lenses.
I got a magic amulet that can protect me from flat Earth.
It's literally hijacking of everything. It's not even perspective. We just say they hijacked perspective. Yeah, they did that. But now they've just hijacked regular everyday things and said, because you have these things, you live on a globe because science. Because science, because globe. I mean, it's so nonsensical. You can't even.
We have.
I can't
Arthur, we
wait
have-
for them. I can't wait for them to eventually, in like more physical situations, start to hold up laptops against us, like a cross. Like, laptop, we got technology. Go away, flat earther. Laptop.
Maybe Sabine should join the debate in the trenches where these cornballs are telling us that science doesn't prove things. So which is it? Do eyeglasses, people walking around with eyeglasses, that science? Is that proof of something? Or does science not prove things anymore? Like
That's why
Sauce wants to tell us.
That's why you need to be removed from the chats. That's why you need to be removed from the chats, though, Chocolate. Hold on. That's why you need taking away from those people. So the people in the trench level that you're saying, they're standing there as gatekeepers? Well, you're ruining their high by asking questions like that. That's why they want you gone, because they want to sit there in a mild amount of blissful euphoria going, yeah, iPads prove globe. What? Get out, Flat Earther! Shut up! I'm trying to enjoy myself for a few seconds. You're ruining my chi.
That's probably exactly how they felt when Arwen started asking questions. They were probably all really chill because, Beck probably had her glass of wine and we're signing books and being all scientific, right? And then this guy comes into the chat and asks a question about the rhetoric that all of a sudden everybody, I'm sure, knows that they really can't answer. At the bottom of their heart, they know they can't answer that shit. So they all panic.
They started saying, no, we already answered that. So I said, wait, I just arrived here. So what is the answer?
And
they didn't say this. No, you know the answer. No.
You know the ansher. So we just can't get a repeat of it, right? Go ahead, Tim.
I got an idea for a good meme. You know the evolution chart that they use with the monkey growing and becoming a man?
Evolution?
So the man.
What's that?
Yeah, it's nothing. But right now it's something. Let me finish. So the man at the end is the eyeglasses and computer. So we know it's a globe. And you just go back and the horse-drawn carriage and the axe, we know it's a globe. And go back a little further. Someone's starting a fire because fire and wood, we know it's a globe. So it's just evolved into eyeglasses and computers now. The argument hasn't changed.
Yeah, it is equivalent though. Somebody holding up a telescope and saying, well, therefore Earth's a sphere. She's saying the same with eyeglasses. Look, we've got technology. Our wizards have made this box communicate with people around the world. There are computers. Our wizards are wonderful. It's like, no, what you're doing is you're saying technology represents science and science says globe. Well, no, globe has no science and technology isn't science. So it's a complete non sequitur. We gave you a shout out, John, by the way. You and Debay, for that matter, for cottoning on to that Sabine quicker than anyone else.
No, I didn't catch on to it. It was Debay's video. It popped up on my recommended, so I just checked it out. I hadn't seen her video. And as soon as I heard her say, I can't see, that's why I'm out here. She is the poster child for why I'm here. Because science works, therefore globe. Yeah, I love it. I have to admit to you, I yearn for that.
So we got to go after her.
What
I
she
don't know
stands
what that's
for.
going to do. She isn't going to say anything.
It's not her. It's what she's standing for.
Here.
It's what she stands for, Neil. Yeah? The hijacking of science, pseudoscience, or technology in this instance, and saying that because science, an empirical method of establishing cause and effect, therefore globe. It's just a hijacking of scientific empiricism to assert with just so stories that we're on a globe. And she's using the power of that, which was trained into all of us in school, that science is empirical, and saying, look, this is science, pointing at a computer. And look, same man who's doing the science with the flashy box and the magic says globe, therefore globe.
I think these people are connected with the mafia.
Neil, you're Italian. You've just watched too many gangster movies.
No, because they do an awful lot of hijacking.
Wouldn't that make them terrorists if they're hijacking stuff? Isn't that what terrorists do? Actually,
No,
what?
terrorists,
As I said it, yeah.
Mafia hijacks trucks, you know what? Do you ever heard about the Bugs Bunny heist? Well, these guys from Brooklyn thought they had a trailer load of shrimp. Took the truck, they got it back to the warehouse, and it was carrots. So they named it the Bugs Bunny heist.
Okay.
You seem to know a lot about this.
True story.
What the?
What's your local district police office number?
No, but could you imagine that? Because before you hijack something, you have to have it sold. You have to have a fence. So they had everything arranged, a trailer load of shrimp. You're talking a lot of money. And when they get there, it's carrots.
Fence? Why would you need a fence? What's a picket line or a picket? What? I don't get it.
Come on.
Fencing. Selling to.
Shh, Owen, let him dig his hole. Shh. Go ahead, Neil. I'm totally ignorant of what you're saying.
Yeah, right. You got the mob there with those two brothers. Come on.
Two brothers? What were their names by chance? Just to give context to the story.
Say no more, Neil.
I'm only kidding. Neil is not involved in this. I'm not vouching for that, though.
Well, I guess it wasn't a jumbo heist then.
Not even the medium heist.
Was it that the Lufthansa?
No, that big one worked. The other one,
maybe a modernized version of this will happen at some point, where a truck of medical supplies is going to be hijacked, and then like, oh yeah, we got it. Oh, fuck, it's all filled with masks.
Chocolate. Lufthansa at least had a tail.
You know when they say about truth in plain sight, that's a psychopathic notion. I really rub it in your face by just showing it you, but realizing while they laugh at you that you don't realize that it's being shoved right in your face. Well, does this sound familiar? The war for hearts and minds.
Did you actually listen to what she said?
Sabine, yeah, I did.
Because science works. That means she told everyone, don't worry if flat earthers show up and you don't have any arguments. If you can't immediately recall the experiments that prove the earth is not flat. Don't worry. Don't worry about. There's no shame, baltards. You can justly hand-wave dismiss flat earthers and their arguments because you know we got laptops and airplanes and pairs of eyeglasses. Because society works and science works, therefore globe. That's her argument.
Yes. That non sequitur basis assertion, generalization, and hand wave dismissal, hijacking of science is her argument. That's correct.
So I put my spin on it. I said, don't worry, spinning space monkeys. If you get a mud hole stomped in your ass and then bitch slap, there's no shame in that. Don't worry about it. It'll be okay. Clowns.
The eyeglass she speaks of, just to give some context to the eyeglass, that originally comes from Holland. And the reason it turned up in Holland is because Holland is an extremely flat country. So it would work there. You could see people at a long distance away just from ground level. But that's where the idea came from.
Nah, that's non-comparable.
That's what it is?
That's dangerously close to actually being a logical and coherent argument. Not quite, but Sabine's is like nowhere near that. She's not even drawing that loose of a comparison. She's not saying, look, if you've got eyeglasses, you'll be able to see the physical reification of a Earth curve edge in the horizon. She's just saying, because they exist, therefore globe.
Right.
She's doing them a favor. She's literally putting the pieces of evidence for this globe in people's hands, even if they don't know about it. If you are wearing eyeglasses, you have science, therefore you are on a globe.
Yep.
Yeah, but chocolate.
You can't have technology without a globe, guys. No globe, no technology.
Yeah, that's the argument.
Everything.
Yes, Owen, that's the argument.
Plasma TV. Plasma TV, therefore globe.
Yes, that is the argument. Thank you, from the Peanut Gallery. Yes, that's right. She's saying if technology, then globe. Now, she's paraphrased it into if science incorrectly, but that's exactly what she's saying, yes.
She says science works. Society works. Science works. Unbelievable.
Just in those two words, that's a reification fallacy. No, science is a method. It does not do any quote-unquote work. It can't work. It's a methodology. So she's reifying it.
So how about the Amish then?
How about that popcorn barrel that you can get a kilo of it? My God, that's good value.
No, dude, no, but I'm just saying, look, technology proves globe. Well, the Amish don't need technology. They never have. So...
actually, that's not a bad comparison. It's akin to me saying, if Amish, then then flat Earth, right? If no technology, therefore... What's going on with... Who's causing that feedback? Who's got their mic wide open?
That was Neil.
Neil.
No, it wasn't.
It's like saying, therefore the antithesis of what Sabine suggests is true. The Amish survive without technology, therefore flat Earth. Equally absurd.
But
what I love though is they call the video flat Earth science not wrong or stupid, right? So you watch it as a flat Earth, you're about to watch it thinking, all right, maybe they're going to at least stick to the actual arguments. And then the first thing I hear her say that just drove me insane was that the freaking Earth is just flying upwards, and that's why flat Earthers don't think gravity exists. And I turned it off. I went back and finished it later, but at that point I had to turn it off because I was just like, okay, lady, you just shown me that either you're really stupid or you're really ignorant, or a combination of the two.
Well,
no,
hold on.
Yeah.
She's employing. Hold on. She's employing two fallacies. So it's a baseless assertion, a baseless generalization, and a stereotyping fallacy. She's saying flat earthers think, oh right, all globers are really ugly women that look like men.
I'll agree to that.
That's true.
True.
What she said, though, is like the title of the video, Flat Earth Science. There's no such thing. It's like she's separating us from what people call or know of as mainstream science, as people who are making up things, new things. We're not. There's no such thing as flat Earth science. There's only science.
You don't know what science is.
Let me clarify that as well.
Science.
No. Let me just clarify that. That's a. Let me get it right. That's a projection. So what she's doing is she's implying that we've got nonsense science. Now the reality is they don't have science. They claim they do when it's in reality pseudoscience. So she's taken that and reversed it and put it onto her opponent. That's us. So saying, well, they're flat Earth science, like there's such a thing. And therefore we start defending the fact that there isn't any phenomena to be studied in a flat Earth. It's absurd to put it through the method of science. Well, no, she's just put that, which she utilises, that would be her pseudoscience, which is all she has, onto us so that she can attack it as our claim. Sound familiar? Happens all the time.
Yes.
Yeah, we shouldn't be surprised.
And when Arwen is in Dr. Becky's chat and he's asking her questions, just as that's the most recent example, what's going on there is Arwen is asking Dr. Becky for honesty. And that's where all the gatekeeping comes in. They can't allow honesty. She can't allow herself to be honest, because that will be admitting that what she's saying and all the nonsense that she's been pushing has to be total nonsense, because she has to then address entropy.
Well, Brian, good point. But to be fair, I was not literally addressing her because she was kind of busy signing books at the time. So it was more just a general question in chat because people were just, I don't know, dinking around, not really talking about anything. So I was like, what? I thought there was science. Okay, so I got a question about physics. How does this work? How does that work? And then the chat really started rolling over it. Becky wasn't even seeing it at the time. Only came later when she started to basically look back at the screen that she started to get like this look on her face, like, and then eventually started sweating and then ended the stream.
Was she
Well,
wearing
that's
the
funny because
glasses?
somebody asked her in the chat how do stars what's the formation of stars, and she went into detail about how stars are formed. Well, how did she figure that out?
Can you guys in about to call it G plus in Google see my screen or the tab that I've just presented?
Yeah, I can.
Yes.
This was sent to me by DITRH, so he's getting pestered by this guy to discuss the nature of our reality, and this is the guy's website. Let's just put it up. Well, okay, so it's a challenge to flat Earth believers. What he's basically got is an orthographic representation with a false dichotomy, and I just wanted to get you to discuss it, basically give me your take on it, although I've summarised it. So it's not me doing it. Is anyone willing to read it out?
I can't. It's too small, man.
It's too small for me too on my projection screen. That's what I'm asking someone else.
I already see a problem with the first sentence.
If it's too small, you can put on glasses, but then again, suddenly it would turn into glow proof.
That's true. That's true. Just acknowledging the existence of the glasses I could put on to see it. It's not that. It's just the text is too small on my 4K monitor. I'll try.
Nathan, I'll do it.
Oh, brilliant. I was just about to attempt it.
Go ahead.
Challenge
to all flat Earth believers. I've seen a number of different models for a flat Earth. A theme I see repeated often is that when explaining the apparent motion of the sun, they only seem to draw it from the perspective of a single person. The problem with this is that there is more than one person on the Earth, and there is always more than one person looking at the sun at the same time. None of the flat Earth models I have ever seen cater for this very simple fact. So I've decided to put together a challenge to flat Earth believers. I have drawn an illustration showing how a specific scenario is explained in what I would call real life. I would like to see submissions illustrating how the exact same scenario is possible on a flat Earth. Imagine 3 flat Earth believers all looking at the sun at the exact same moment. They are on a video conference call and are arguing about the current position of the sun, each giving a live video feed of their view of the sun plus a compass reading so the others can see which direction their camera is pointing. Person 1 is standing in the west and claims the sun is half obscured by the horizon of the sea to his east. Person 2 is standing in the east and claims the sun is half obscured by the horizon of the sea to his west. Person 3 is equally distant from the others and claims he sees no obscured sun directly overhead. You'd scroll down, Nathan. There's the diagram. So if you are a flat Earth believer, please draw the illustration of the model you believe is on the right-hand side of the preceding image, then submit a comment with your link to the uploaded image for review. Thank you.
Okay. So, and I don't want to dive into it too much because I've already summarised it. But who wants to go first? Who can pick for in this? Well, I'll start you off.
He's
then.
pre-assuming.
Go ahead.
Yeah, just say he's coming up with a scenario that pre-assumes a globe. Like, this is not something he can. He's pre-assuming a globe model because the first thing he's going to claim is it's our curve that's causing the obstruction of the sun. So that's the start problem he has with that.
That's correct.
So that's his first go-to place.
Exactly. So the first half of his false dichotomy is to assume Earth is a sphere, and that travelling south would mean you're antipodal on a sphere. So it's starting off with every same assumption that any globe head will ever use ever when they're claiming a globe in any context, in this case a false dichotomy fallacy. But yes, he's got the reification of Earth as a sphere, and it's represented here in his left-hand side picture with an orthographic representation of people looking at the sun, albeit not to scale. Side on, on a presupposed spherical Earth. So he's got his begging the question fallacy in his first model because he's holding it up in false dichotomy. So then we've got the second picture on the right, which is how he wants or demands that we must represent this. So can I just ask a question for those of you on the panel that can actually see this? On the right-hand side image, where's the horizon for any of these little men?
It depends on their elevation.
No, in this view, this depiction, where's their horizon? I mean, obviously, in this instance, we've got an Earth curve edge presupposed spherical Earth blocking and giving this man a horizon when you place him antipodal, having travelled south. Where's this guy's equivalent? Where's the horizon? Why is it that this view, when you've got a flat line as opposed to a sphere, why is it that this doesn't present any horizon? I'll tell you why. Because it's an orthographic representation. So they've taken this orthographic representation and given you a single obstruction at their horizon. So in their horizon, the only cause of a horizon in this example is the edge of the sphere getting in the way, the presupposed spherical Earth curve edge at the horizon. But this doesn't have an equivalent because it's orthographic view, hijacking perspective.
Well, the thing about it is what he's doing is he's bringing in the sunset for one person, midday for another person, and sunrise for another person into the equation, as if that can't be explained on a flat Earth. Now, all you can give is an explanation. There was someone recently, a guy who has a channel on YouTube, who threw this question at me because he thought it was an absolute winning question that no flat earther. He said no flat earther can ever answer this question. He said, how do you explain the seasons on a flat earth? And because I had researched Kepler and I know where he got his solar analemma from, I know about the observations that were taken originally from a geocentric Earth belief about where what these observations are, of what the sun appears to do throughout the year. It's cycled throughout the year. It's a apparent cycle. And when I gave that to him, he absolutely went livid, and he spent days, maybe a week, just to and fro with me, arguing with me. Now, so this person's looking, the reason I'm saying that is this person's looking for an answer, but to a different question. And if you gave him the answer to the question he's looking for, which is really how do you explain night-day seasons on a flat Earth, if you give him the answer to it, he won't want it. Because he wants to just push his own belief. Sorry, Adam.
The answer, Brian, is what Nathan's just highlighted to me. The picture you send him back is a picture of a black swan. Because fundamentally, he's saying in this that the horizon is generated by the leading edge of a sphere. That's what he's saying. So the response from me would be, black swan.
Exactly, to debunk the first half of the false dichotomy. So in this argument that you are insisting we place a sun in an orthographic view, in a representation that you say flat Earth is orthographic, when there's no horizon to represent his detailed explanation that the guy on the right has got a low sun. Low to what in an orthographic view now? It's a complete misrepresentation of anything we would ever suggest, because we don't see the sides of our own heads. Now, I actually left this as a comment. Now, obviously, my lengthy comment replying to this does not appear, in spite of me handing over my personal information for it to appear. No, it's not there. But I discussed what I was going to leave as a comment with David Weiss and suggested what I thought were the flaws in this, which is what I'm going through with you guys now, and Brian's detailing similar stuff, as is Adam. All of these issues start with you seeing the side of your own head. That's not how you see the world. And when you do detail it in that way, you've got all sorts of problems, because a guy with a low sun can't be represented next to a guy with a sun that's above him, because it's not representative of reality in an orthographic view, because there's no horizon. Therefore, in this view, if I draw a line between these two men, I can write the word 1 million miles on it, and it's still technically accurate in terms of how the representation presents itself to you. But is this guy capable of seeing this guy at 1 million miles? No. Oh, has he got a horizon between this guy and this guy at 1 million miles? In reality, yes. In this picture, no. But in this picture, the only assertion of things getting in the way of, in this case, the sun, is an Earth curve edge obstruction. So it's just a way of representing a false dichotomy, an argument we don't hold. Oh, there's a third one. So this is technically a straw man. So false dichotomy, begging the question, straw man fallacy. Anything else that I've missed?
Well, I wouldn't actually even argue with him that way. Like what I was saying earlier was just giving information. The argument I would make with him would be that he's claiming from his side that the Earth is rotating, and this is giving us a sunrise and sunset. And I would point out that we have no observable Coriolis effect with anything else other than the sun, moon, and stars.
That's beautiful. I didn't recognise that angle. That's epic. Well done.
Thank you. That would be my angle.
Yeah, I'll just reiterate, that's priceless, Brian. Absolutely. So in order for this to be the case, this is a Coriolis assertion in essence. So this guy moves round to this position as the Earth turns at 15 degrees an hour to force the physical obstruction of an Earth curved edge presupposed with an R value and a measurement to a physical horizon into this location. Ergo, this is claiming Earth turns underneath the sun at 15 degrees an hour. That would be second reference frame. Oh, Dan was on earlier. Oh, Dan, this dude, man. You've debunked this dude because he thinks that this guy is going to move into this position because Earth turns underneath at 15 degrees an hour. That's Coriolis deviation and 2 reference frames. I'll just quote Simon. Dan to him. Why didn't I think of that, Brian? You and your reference frames are ruined. Why would you expect Earth to turn underneath the sun at 15 degrees an hour as a second reference frame? Speak to Dan. Yeah, kudos, Brian. Kudos. Anything else?
Yeah, thanks, Nathan.
Any more on this?
Yeah, all of it was correct. I'd go to the first sentence. Models, right? So
that's what I said.
Yeah, I'd go to the first sentence, just destroy it right there because it's an empty dipshittery down below. Now, pull up that model that he has on the left. So is that the model of the Earth? Is that the globe Earth model right there? Because if it is, that's the first time I've ever seen it. Can you show me where gas pressure is without a container on your model?
Oh, I can do that for him. So according to him, at this scale, it'd be undiscernible. I don't have the pixel value even on my 4K monitor to represent the high pressure gas like cloud sat on the top of this. 1 pixel wouldn't do it. So you can take it to all intents and purposes at this scale that the edge of this blue ball would be the edge of the gas pressure. And this area here, considerable distance away at this scale, would be 10 to the minus 17 Torr vacuum according to this model.
I don't see a container anywhere though. It's weird.
Oh, my bad. I missed that. They don't have that in their model. They just have a violation of the second law of thermodynamics. This high pressure gas not filling the availability of volume it has to fill in violation of natural law. A big problem. Kudos, QE.
I've spotted another problem with their model there.
Can you hold on to it? Just remember it for a second. Yes, indeed, exactly. I did put that in my comment that obviously isn't being published about models being pseudoscience. We don't live on a model, nor do we claim this reification of this straw man. No, we don't. So kudos, yeah, indeed, go straight to the models. We're not living on a model, and maybe he could show us the model if he says, no, well, that's obviously not the model. Well, where is it then? We've yet to see one. Correct, QE. Kudos to you too. Go on, 10th.
Yeah, in their model, the sun is so far away, light comes in parallel rays. Does that look like parallel rays?
Again, I pointed that out to death, but kudos, yes. Without my comment to reference...
Did he say the parallel rays?
Yeah, he did, yeah.
Yeah, sweet one.
Yeah, I did catch that one for death, but yes, that is another good one. Right, so what's going on with these widening angles to the sun? I thought it all came in basically in a straight line. What's that? You say not to scale? Well, the scale would just mean it was more like a straight line. That's why they explain it that way. But what, he's seeing these weird angles? That's weird too, isn't it? Given that these two dudes have got angles to the sun. These angles? It's amazing that, considering that their globe Earth mathematics only deals in actual sizes, and they don't change with distance. But obviously this distance here, compared to this guy's angle, he's got a wider angle, right? That's obvious. You just have to look at it. This guy's got a narrow angle. This guy's got a wide angle, obviously notwithstanding the physical geometric sphere edge assumption. Well, that's not represented in their maths. And their light rays are coming in parallel, according to them. That's a big problem. This guy's a complete clown.
Yep. This is like that's like a pinata.
You were all having a bash. That's why I put it up. As soon as saw him, I thought, the guys in the panel are like this, just to give it a good whack with a stick.
I read the first sentence and I went back to work. Just like, oh, models. Oh, okay. I'm done right there. And then I just listened to the rest of you guys.
Just for clarity for the audience's benefit. So, although it's funny for us,
clean the bathroom. Exactly, you got it.
Although it might be funny for us, models are pseudoscience. Why? Well, we don't live on a model. It's not a phenomena. It's not scientifically validated empiricism. It's a reification fallacy. That is to say, the fallacy of misplaced concreteness. If you think that something that is represented on paper is the actual thing in reality, and in this instance, models, we don't stand, live, or inhabit a model. We live in reality, the physical world dealt with by physics. Now, models are mathematical by nature, abstract by nature, unless we're talking about a diorama, a physical structure. But that still isn't something you can be capable of living in or on. If it was a globe diorama, physical manifestation of the reification that is the idea we're standing on a physical sphere because a model chose it that way. And fallacy of misplaced concreteness, the idea that we're actually standing on the map. The map is not the terrain.
Yeah, whenever somebody comes in with that on 24/7, I just start hammering home like, listen, we are not talking about models because I don't walk around on a model. I don't drive my car on a model. I'm not at work in a model. So models have nothing to do with the reality that we're talking about. So get out of this model nonsense, which are reification fallacies anyway, and come back to reality. We're talking about the ground that's underneath all of our feet. Not models, not 3D printouts and simulations and all this crap, maps. Nobody's talking about any of that. Talking about the real world, the earth, the ground. Gotta catch up. 2015, man. Models, that's 2015. We don't do models. Get out of here.
I considered shouting the guy out so at least people would visit his website. But given that my comment doesn't appear, I'm not going to. But I will shout out DITRH for passing it on because it's a good laugh. You know, like you say, a pinata is a good description. We're all having a good old whack.
Yeah, what's wrong with them is they have a model that dictates exactly what they have to believe.
You sure about that?
Oh, then let him go. But yes, you're right.
Well, they want to have a model battle with us, our model versus their model. So they want us to have a model that they can point fingers at and say this doesn't work or that doesn't work. And that's always they're always doing. They're at this for 5 years now, because they have a model where there's gas pressure defying entropy, things like that. So they want us to have a model that we stick to and say this is how it definitely is, and then they can debunk it, whatever that point be. But we don't have. So all this person is looking for is a battle of the models. That's all. That's because they can't do to us what we can do to them, because we don't hold on to any model.
Exactly. They need to beg the question of their model and assume Earth is their model that they're reifying. And the only way to do that in an argument, if they're not that adept at debating, is to offer up this false dichotomy fallacy. So where you say it's their model versus our model, well, that's false dichotomy. The first thing I highlighted. Not only is it a false dichotomy, he's presenting us with this really crude, blunt, limited version of what he says we must adhere to with his little description. Let's just put it back on screen. Because that description means he can work in the parameters of his model that he's pushing on whoever's reading this, and debunk the one that he holds up in false dichotomy. Well, yeah, false dichotomy in lieu of his begging the question fallacy of his spherical Earth and antipodal men hanging off the bottom of a sphere. I mean, even as you look at this, right, even though I've pulled it apart for its use of orthographic view, forget all that for one moment and just look at it as it sits in isolation. Now, you are I was going to say an alien, but that's probably not a good example. I can't think of a good example that's beyond alien, so I'm going to use that. You're somebody who is completely unaware of anything we think about the way we exist. Yeah? And you present these two pictures to that particular person. And you say, which seems more likely? There's you. This is you, Mr. Alien, stood. And obviously, you're seeing the side of your own head because it's just a picture of what you would be if you think of yourself in this model. And the alien goes, okay, I understand. I'm this guy. Now, you understand, Mr. Alien, that you look across, someone far away maybe, and they're standing like you're standing, right? Yeah, that makes sense. And then further away, there's another guy, and he's standing like you're standing, right? Upright. Yeah, that all makes sense. Yeah, this looks all fairly reasonable and normal. Yeah. Now, would you say that to assert that you've got a dude, that's you, and there's another dude hanging off the bottom? Or if he was here, he would be completely antipodal to your position, upside down from your vantage point. Now, this is utterly ludicrous. It is beyond absurd. It's not just an extraordinary claim. It's farcical. But yet, in isolation, you look at this and you've got to say to yourself, yeah, the majority of the Western world actually look at this and nod and go, yeah, dude hanging off the bottom of circle. Yeah, that makes sense. Because that's what I experience in reality. I often look or get a pair of binoculars and look into the distance and see a man hanging off the edge of a sphere. No, you're never going to experience that. You can't go to space. It's not real to see Earth from this vantage point at this scale anyway. But the concept, the mere concept of it, is beyond ludicrous. This is absurd. Look at it.
Yeah, I have to totally agree. It is.
To me, it's the worst part of the entire thing. The very notion that we are all standing on a ball and it's pulled from other people thousands of miles underneath our feet. I mean, from a kid chocolate was just like, nah, this is ridiculous. I can't buy this.
Indeed.
And as grown adults that still do. Unreal.
Yeah, it's Santa for adults. With that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who tuned in on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering Streams for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. Check out my GoFundMe to finish off my YouTube studio. Another massive thank you to today's Discord and Google panels for making today's after show possible. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!